Hola, 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 hello friends. We are back for another day in the hellhole that is gender ideology. Mi nombre es Brittany y voy a estar tu guía de este viaje entre las realidades de la cirugía la female to male transgender surgery. So we will go through the hell that we have been looking at. It will be very, very scary. Um, la tópica de este video por esta día, hoy día, es phalloplasty. And I just wanted to bring this back. It's like sometimes I feel like I like take for granted that like we all, understand how horrible these surgeries are and what's really going on. And it's like I got to remember that sometimes it's good to have a little refresher. It's good to have a little refresher. Hola, hola, mis amores, mis amigas, todas, vamos. Entonces, voy a hacer este video totalmente en castellano, español. Si no hablas español, es tu problema, no es mío. Y ya vámonos, pues. So yeah, it's like, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it in Spanish. So we are just gonna go through a day of taking a look at the horrors of phalloplasty with a side of metoidioplasty, but I am going to focus on phalloplasty. Maybe we can do a metoidioplasty another day. It is one of the most dangerous plastic surgeries, I think, on the face of the earth. It has some of the worst complication rates. It is just some of the worst outcomes. And it's amazing to look and listen to the realities of what this surgery is actually like as it is, described by patients versus how it is described by the doctors who are peddling these surgeries. And it's just really scary. And for those who are still kind of wondering and on the fence and going back and forth about the why people are pushing transgender ideology and medicalization so hard. And for me, I think the most correct answer has been identified by Jennifer Bialik, in that this is a transhumanist agenda that it's a way to sort of farm mentally ill people for consent to experiment on the human body, to sort of push and enter these new frontiers of medical discovery. And it's ultimately so that doctors can begin to wield more control over our biological processes. And I think the chief amongst which would be reproduction, right? It's about getting control over reproduction, because you have to understand, so long as citizens control when and how babies are born, and so long as parents get to retain control over the decision making for their children, how to raise their children, what sort of influences to expose their children to, what sort of values to raise them with, where to raise them, who gets to be parents. So long as we retain that power, I think it's hard for us to fully understand how much power we as people will always retain, right? And wield. Now, if governments can begin to, and as we've seen through the food that we eat, the chemicals that we're eating, the chemicals that are being injected injected into us, whether through vaccines, the medication. We have a sick care system of medicine where we treat everything. It's a very disease based model of medicine, rather than like a wellness based model. And it's the medications that are being put into us. It's our water supply is toxic, our food supply is toxic, and we're seeing fertility rates plummet. And whether that's a combination of design and just sort of happenstance and the consequences of industrialization. I think it's again, it's like a rat king. It's an intersection of a lot of different things. Once scientists and organizations, governmental organizations, private sector can get control over reproduction, we'll see a major shift in the, how power is organized and concentrated in our world. And I think it's actually really, really scary. This is why I really push against artificial reproductive technologies. We don't realize how much we open the door for the government to own us. And they find these ends, right? They've got to find a way to sort of farm consent. And they push this idea of transgenderism. Same thing with, they prey on the emotions of infertile couples or couples struggling with infertility. They've pushed for women to enter the workforce and to compete at the level of men. And now there's practically no way to survive off of a single income household. They've made it so now they can tax everybody. It's like everything is a double-edged sword, right? It's women want and deserved, obviously, the right to vote. And I think that we overestimate how much of that success was because of grassroots movements. And it's just like, they were like, okay, you're right. We care about women, so we're going to give you the right to vote. No, the government is like, okay, you know what? There's a whole 50% of the population that we're not taxing. There's no taxation without representation, but on the, in the other hand, there's no representation without taxation, right? Now we can tax women, we can tax their earnings, and now we've made it impossible for, a one income household. It's causing our marriage rates are falling apart. And so now, we're farming, women for years and years and years of labor to go work for these corporations. And then, then we put all this pressure on them at a certain point. It's so weird. It's like, as a woman, you go from the whole world stressing you out about avoiding pregnancy, right? It's your sex education. It's like abstinence based and how to use birth controls. And, they're injecting you with birth control. They're putting devices up in your uterus. They're doing, whatever they can to, pumping you full of hormones so you don't get pregnant, terrifying you about getting pregnant. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, where are your babies? Hurry up. Time's ticking. What's going on? Are you going to have a baby yet? When is the baby coming? And then you're like, oh shit. And then like people are scrambling and it's like all of this pressure. You go from like everyone telling you not to get pregnant to now all of a sudden, where the hell are your babies? There's like no in between. It's never like, here's like an appropriate time in life. And it's just like, I see it all the time is working with mothers. And I've seen, a lot of older mothers who have gone through a lot of different, fertility journeys, and, through artificial reproductive technologies. And it's like, and I understand we put women in just we put them in such a difficult bind. We see it with Japanese women are going through this, Japanese and even Chinese women are, Japanese women are foregoing having children altogether, because of the pressures and just like the cost of living and stuff. So now, now that we've pushed women into corporate America for so long, and then all of a sudden we're like freaking them out about having kids. And then by the time they're ready to start families and stuff, their fertility is already on a decline. So then it's like, and I'm not saying that, healthy older women cannot get pregnant naturally. Of course they can, and they do. But it's like after years and years and years, a lot of women who've been pumped with, hormonal birth control for their entire lives and stuff like that. And then they're ready to start getting pregnant and now they're having difficulty. And now the world is stressing them the fuck out because once you hit 35, they consider a pregnancy at 35 and later is called a geriatric pregnancy. And it's like, oh, you're high risk and we should do all of this genetic testing to make sure that the fetus is healthy. And it's all of this like panic. It's all this panic and this like, we need, extended surveillance and everything else. And so, women are they don't like, you're not, like, if you're 35 and above, so if you're under 35, if you're trying to conceive for a year, you're not considered infertile or having like fertility problems until you've been trying to conceive with no success for a full year, right? Then you're like literally considered like infertile, and even if you're not actually infertile, whatever. If you're 35 or older, it's after 6 months. Then you go, that's when they say after 6 months or after a year, then you go to a fertility clinic. Of course, fertility clinics will accept you earlier. And they really prey on that anxiety that women have. Oh, your window is closing, and the success rates of in vitro go down dramatically every year after like 35, even though those are like the women who would be using it. So, I've even seen a lot of times like women will spend astronomical amounts of money on artificial reproductive technologies only to then be like, I can't take it anymore, I'm done, stop, and then get pregnant within that year, right? A lot of times I think we just push women into such a state of stress that their bodies are so stressed out, and our bodies are so beautifully crafted that our bodies will, prevent us from getting pregnant if if we're dumping stress hormone into our bodies, right? Our body's like, this is probably not a good time, so let me not. And then as soon as like you put it out of your mind and you just kind of like come to accept that, maybe this isn't going to happen for me, whatever, then it happens, right? So I say all this to say it's like we're creating a scenario where we're almost like setting women up so that they have to be dependent on artificial reproductive technology. And I think that a lot of that is by design, right? Once we can start to get control over how women get pregnant, which women get pregnant, which men, and now it starts to go into this whole new frontier of getting men pregnant. Again, one of the biggest points of contention about why men hate women as much as they do is because why they hate women as much as they do, because at the end of the day, and I talked about this in a space, and I had some rad femmes like really get mad at me for this. So I don't give a fuck. Unfortunately, I would play it, but it wasn't recorded, so I'm just going to repeat it. The reason why men hate women, why they have such a mixed relationship between women, while they like at once hate women, they envy women, they obsess with women, they're amazed by women, and they're so captivated with women, is for really, I think, like one primary purpose is because they know that because women are the ultimate gatekeepers of reproduction in our society, right? It is ultimately women, from which our babies come, right? We carry the cellular life of our babies from the time we're fetuses, okay? So we ultimately gatekeep which men will get a legacy and which men won't. That's why they've had to develop strategies like rape, coercion. They come up with so many. That's why you look at all these red pill men are so angry and so resentful towards women, because if women get to choose who among them is worthy. And they always say that, they're like, women come with a built-in value that society sees them as valuable, and men have to prove their value. And that's why women don't have to try as hard and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, it's also part of the reason why I think men become AGP, autogynephiles, and homosexual transsexuals, because, for autogynephiles, know the power that women have over them through their sexuality, their bodies, who they are. And it's like men, they want to experience that power. They know the power that women have over them, and they want to be in that seat of power and have that same power over other men and even themselves, right? That's why it's like they literally masturbate to this fantasy of them being a woman in a female body, knowing the power that women have over that. It's exhilarating to them, but they hate it at the same time, and they hate us for it, right? And we just exist. And, for women who have been sexually traumatized, that's not a power that they want. You know what I mean? That's not a power that they want, or it's a power that's caused them great pain and great trauma. And it's like, just leave me alone, right? we have something that they want. It's literally inside of us. And it comes with, I mean, we are the mothers of like creation, of all human civilization was born through a mother, was born through a woman, was through a woman's body, and that's something again that like, and it's like, women really ultimately have the right, and women need to remember that fucking power. Women have got to remember that power. I wish I had known it more myself when I was younger. And if there's anything that I can instill in young women, you have the power. Stop letting these men make you feel like that you've got to somehow earn them, and they're this prize. You have the ability to give a man a fucking legacy, to make his mother a grandmother, his father a grandfather, to carry on his name, his line. That's everything to a man. And it is that has motivated men across time and culture to be what they are. And it's like, this is why the sexual revolution has been so damaging to women. Because now when men had to do the least to get sex, before it was like sexual companionship and reproduction was the thing that really made men, that's why they worked hard to build up money so they could attract a woman. That's why they work out, so they could attract a woman. That's why they would go and train and be these warriors and develop these skills, and so that they could bring something to the table, because again, the woman is already bringing something to the table. He's got to bring something and show that he can, be worthy of her, right? And it's like when men are getting sex, and there's a reason like where it's like all these young men. I remember I had this young guy try to get with me, right? He was like flirting with me, like kept like trying to talk to me, wanted to be, he was like 20 and I was like, he was like 19 or 20 and I was like 30. And this is after I left my husband. And I was like, I sat him down, I was like, listen, I'm not interested in you sexually, okay? And he was like, listen, he's like, I see that, or no, I forgot what he was. He was like, listen, if you're not going to go out with me, can you just tell me what I need to do to be like what women want? He goes, I'm so tired of being rejected. I'm rejected by women my own age. I'm rejected by women younger than me. I'm rejected by women, older than me. They all want to go after these men who have money, who are older, who are established, have all these things that I don't have. And it's making me crazy. And I'm depressed and I'm frustrated. I said, listen to me. Don't let that be something that defeats you. I said, you're right. Women are going to go after men who have developed themselves and who have worked really hard to build up a reserve of resources, and who could be a safety net for a woman if she makes the great sacrifice to carry a child into the world for him, where that's a point in time where she's not going to be able to compete academically. She's not going to be going for her, compete, in her job. She's not going to be able to perform at these high levels. She's not going to be able to go travel the world and do all these things. And then that changes her life forever. That baby's always there for her. That's why she has to be so selective in choosing somebody who can really provide for her and who is committed to her. And I said, you cannot take it personally. I said, you're like 19 or 20. You're just not in a place right now where you can be that rock that a woman's going to need to feel comfortable putting herself in such a seriously vulnerable thing. I said, but don't take that as like something to be defeated by. And I think that this is where a lot of young men get fucked up. Take that as a motivation. Like, I'm going to use this time and I'm going to hustle and build myself and build up who I am and figure out what it is that women want, figure out what it is that I need to be as a potential father, right? Because we got to stop like pretending that like, heterosexual dating is not ultimately for the purpose of like reproduction and family building. I'm so tired of people just like getting together and then, they get knocked up and then build a family around it. Let's do it with more consciousness. Let's do it with the fact that heterosexual sex leads to children. It leads to a family. So do it with forethought. Don't just get with somebody who you think is hot and then, oops, we got pregnant. Shoot. Well, I guess I'm going to propose to her now. I'm like, damn, I didn't know that. I didn't think I probably wouldn't have chosen you as like a husband. If you want, if you don't want to carry his children, you really should not be having sex with him, right? If you're a young woman, if you're fertile, if you couldn't see yourself carrying his children and being with that man forever, you really have no business just shacking up with him and sleeping with him and having some bullshit relationship with him, right? You're wasting your time. You're putting yourself in a really dangerous situation. And you could bear the effects for that for the rest of your life. So like, and I told him, I was like, just build, right? Build. Like, be who you've got to be, and it will pay off. Don't just sit and feel sorry for yourself, because you got to understand, we put all of this, we sit there and we shame these women who get knocked up by some loser down the street. It's like, on the one hand, we shame women if they don't give these guys a chance. Oh, if you don't want me when I had a bus pass, then you shouldn't want me when I have money. Bro, what? What are you talking about? If you don't want me when I'm having to walk, then I don't want to hear about you wanting me when I, driving my nice car. If a woman has to, do you have any idea the amount of sacrifice and investment that it takes for that woman to carry your child? And when you're having heterosexual sex, you have to treat that as every sexual contact has the potential to be reproductive. I don't care what sort of birth control you're on. And unfortunately, I feel like birth control has warped our understanding of that, right? But that's the reality. Prior to birth control, women understood that every single sexual encounter could lead to changing their life forever. That's why they had to be super selective. And we should be glad that women are selective, and men should be glad that women are selective, because when women are not highly selective, all of society suffers. All of society suffers. Okay? So I say all this to say, men are so, it's fucked up about their I feel like before, at least when there was a more direct link between sex and a child being conceived, men understood why they had to compete with each other. They understood why they had, and it's a good thing. It develops boys into men. It develops weak men into strong men, right? Like, men should have something that they want to work for and develop themselves and become for. When they're able to access sex and the potential of knocking somebody up without having to literally do anything, as a society, that's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. It's why we have men who are so weak and fucking pathetic, and it's why our families are falling apart, and it's why women are becoming so masculinized that they almost assume that if I get pregnant, I have to be everything, right? It's I have to be everything, and there's a good chance that I'll have to be everything. So that's why I need to work until I'm 40 and then go do all this artificial reproductive stuff, just so I can have a baby that everyone's pressuring me to have. And we're all just so demented because of it. And it's so I say all that to say, so much of why men hate and are frustrated by women, but also amazed by women and obsessed with us, because of this power that we have. And rather than, like I said to this young guy who I was I'm never going to get with you. You know what I mean? Because you're just not there yet. It's not that you can't be there one day, right? But I'm a mature woman, and it's I need, you know what I mean? And it's but what I can say to you is work. That should be almost an exciting opportunity for you to let me dig in. And let me look at the men who are having, the things that are attracting women, and not just not just guys who are getting a ton of women, because that's not a good thing either. They're just running through women, but talking about a man who achieved a great woman, one great woman, and is building a great life and having, successful, healthy children and a successful, stable household. That's what you should aspire to, right? Look to that and use that as a motivator, and it's so rather than seeing it as motivation, men are oh, let me just get pregnant. Let me just become a woman, because I'm so demented and mentally detached from the reality of anything. And I can't, I'm so men are becoming so autistic. We're becoming so autistic as a society. And it's like, rather than like creating a blueprint for how I can like access the things that I want and meet the standards that are being set for me, let me totally circumvent them altogether by, let's develop a bunch of weird technologies where maybe men can get pregnant and then we can do things, or we can rent women's bodies, and we could come up with these legal contracts so that she doesn't have a claim to her own child, and then we as a gay couple can have men. Also, people keep getting mad that I say that, like, I think that if you have a non-reproductive sexuality, you need to accept that and not go through these insane lengths to go, either if you're a gay couple, rent a woman for her to carry your baby, and then you traumatize that baby and that woman. And I also think that if you're a lesbian couple, I think that you're wrong if you're gonna like traffic, male gametes and intentionally cut a child off from one half of their entire family. That's that child's birthright. Okay, so that sperm cell is the cellular life of a child. Okay, it's not just a like part of a man, it's part of that child. So to think that you have the right to just sever that child from, but like I think one thing that could be like a reasonable thing, plus I think that children deserve mothers and a father. They deserve men and women in their lives, and it's like, people can argue all you want, but they do. I think that it's like, if you're like a gay couple, get with like a lesbian couple and fucking have the baby together or whatever, and then like co-parent the baby, like be neighbors or something, or live in like some like, but at the end of the day, the child's needs trump yours. This idea that we're like designing families to be broken from the beginning is insane. Even heterosexual women, I think, who are going and getting, at 40 years old, well, I've got the money, I'll just like get myself pregnant and raise the child as a single mom. That's not fair. That's not right. It's just, the whole like technology involved in human reproduction, I think, is dystopian, and I think it's scary. Okay, it's scary. So I say all this to say, I think the ultimate reason why people want why this transgender thing, yeah, I think Jennifer Bilek has it. I think she's 100%, right? She's 100%. This is about transhumanism. I think every other theory, or and I'm not saying that like other people don't have their own motivations for promoting transgenderism, but I think that's the ultimate thing, right? That's why the governments are behind it. That's why these big corporations, that's why these like probably silent private investors are behind it. That's what this is about, because once you can control human reproduction, you control everything. You can control everything. And right now, it's women who control human reproduction. Let's be so fucking for real. Women have so much more power. That's why do you think men have had to erect, like, I always say that it's like, they always say that like people who live in tropical areas, like societies in tropical areas have always been like less technologically developed. Then like, do you know why Europe had to get so technologically advanced? Because they didn't already live in an area that was rich in resources. Like, those of you in the UK know, Europe at the time of the Enlightenment, was really, it was like a shithole. It was like dreary, disgusting weather. There was the famine up in Ireland. There was, it was, not very fertile. It was overcrowded, poor sanitation, plague was wiping people out. They were desperate. Right? But when you have people who are living, in these subtropical areas where the land provides, places like in Peru where there's like, you don't have a need to go dominate other places to kind of like get control of their resources, because you have everything you need. So the reason why Europe had to get really good at things like colonization and traveling and invading was because they were becoming desperate. They had to develop ships so that they could sail and go get things that they needed and start trading, right? That's why they wanted to go colonize places like Africa and South America and all this other stuff. It's because they were like, we're like in bad shape right now. so that their best export had to become, it became, what's it called, like military. They got really good at developing military technology because they had to basically colonize and conquer and dominate other places where that had the resources and things that they needed. People who live in resource rich areas, if they're, they live in a society that they're able to create like a symbiosis with nature, then they didn't need to do that. Look at people who lived in the Amazon, who are like semi-nomadic. They move around the Amazon. The rainforest provides. The rainforest provides everything that they need. They don't need to go and conquer people in Europe or bother people in Europe. Europe didn't have anything that they need. So it's the same thing. It's like why women, don't like go and try to conquer men in the same way, right? At the end of the day, women have to remember we hold the key to humanity. We are the mothers of humanity. We create the men. This whole idea, like even like Christianity had to come up with this bullshit idea that like women are like created from men, that like Eve was created from the rib of Adam so that men can pretend like they're, no. You're our sons. You are our sons. We didn't come from you. You came from us. And it's like you women are so amazing that we create what we need, right? We needed some humans, some of our children had to be childbearing humans, because those are the ones who are going to have to go do work that would be, like impeded if they had to be childbearing. Right? It's like, I just feel like we're just so wonderfully made. And that's why I feel like, God is a woman. If there's God, it's a woman. It's like, you know what I mean? And it's like, we create like whatever. And it's like men really are just kind of there to like serve the needs of women. But like, so they try to conquer us because ultimately, we have that power. We've got to stop getting gaslit out of understanding how important that is. Okay. So anyway, I say all that to say it's all rooted in transhumanism, and it's all rooted in trying to get control of human reproduction. So let's talk about phalloplasty. So before, all right. So those who don't, let's start. I wanted to start by showing you guys how we're going to talk about phalloplasty and sexual functioning and sexual pleasure after phalloplasty, okay? And we're going to look at a few different cases. We're going to look at some science, but I wanted to first start with showing how does the female orgasm work? Because I'm actually amazed by how many people don't really know. And it's also really sad too, having like worked with mothers in sort of like an intimate time, how many women I know who are married mothers. They're married, they've given birth, they're raising children. And I've had more than several women confide in me that they've never had an orgasm or never had an orgasm during sex or with their husband. And I was like, women who were in their 40s, 30s. My best friend at the time told me that she had never had an orgasm ever, had never masturbated. And she was like dead serious. And I was like, and I was so sad. And I was like, no wonder you're so unfulfilled in your marriage. And like, also, what the hell is your husband doing? But it was like, but at the same, it was like the responsibility was on both of them, because it was like, but you also have a responsibility to learn your body and masturbate. Like you have to. That's like the precursor. You can't teach anybody how to give you pleasure if you don't know how to give yourself pleasure, right? Like it's really, really sad. And it's like this idea that women only exist as some kind of some women always believe, they're like, yeah, well, I like sex and whatever, but I've had women, and rad femmes who say that vaginal orgasm isn't real and it's not possible. There was a whole anybody who it's formerly known as Black Rad Femme on Instagram. She now goes by @unaffiliated female Camellia. She's like my favorite Instagrammer. She's amazing on like women's issues and stuff. And there was this whole debate, and there was like this rad femme basically saying that like vaginal orgasm isn't real, and that any woman who says is just lying and just trying to cope, and that heterosexual sex is inherently not pleasurable for women, and it's really only for male pleasure, and it's like degrading to women. And I was like, bro, huh? Like, first of all, I have sex every single day of my life, and I also like, I like, not to be TMI, but sex isn't done until we both come. Like, it's just that's what to me is like so sad. It's like, as a man, how as a man do you come and then be like, all right, we're done. We're done. You know what I mean? And it's just like, how sad is that as a woman? And trust me, I've been there when I was younger, and I used to be like too, like, kind of like, shy to be like, hey, like, I want to come too. I'm like, I guess it's just, done. But it's like, bro, what planet? Like, what planet? So anyway, yeah, Karen Davis says it's real. Yeah, you goddamn right. And so it's just really sad. So anyway, so I start to wonder. So a lot of these women, these like post-fallow women who claim that they have full sensation, it really makes me wonder if they've ever really had orgasms before or really understand their own pleasure. Because as we go through kind of like how these procedures work and how, reconnecting nerves work and things like this, I'm very skeptical that any woman can orgasm after this, unless they retain their vagina and they're having orgasm, like internal orgasms. But you have no access to your clitoris. So they basically bury the clitoris under this like skin tube. And I guess the pleasure is supposed to be from like the pressure. So they say they put like there's like an inflatable rod that makes the thing hard. And I guess it's like from the woman sitting on it and the pressure going back and basically like stimulating the clitoris that's buried under it. But it's like, that would be like putting like if you put like a real, like a kind of like squishy silicone dildo on top of your clitoris and just try to like like have someone sit on it or something, or you move it around yourself and try to get it to like get you off, right? It's like, how that's got to be so frustrating. Like, you can't actually touch the one part that's really sensitive and pleasurable. It's through this sort of like indirect thing that, like, I don't know how that's not aggravating. And it's sad because, again, I think so many women have come to the point where they really believe that their pleasure is like a secondary thing, that their main job is to provide pleasure, right? That they're just sort of like a receptacle of somebody else getting pleasure. And, if it kind of feels good, and, it feels good to be held and kissed and have somebody next to you and to smell them, and maybe they're feeling it because of the internal internal nerve system. But it takes longer for women to orgasm. The difference between a male orgasm and a female orgasm is that male orgasms are typically easier, more straightforward to accomplish. They're more intense and they last a much shorter time. So it's like a really quick accrescendo, and then it goes down, and then they have a refractory period. Women, on the other hand, take a longer time, and I think it's more complex. And I think that, like, because of the way that, it takes more time, and, because, again, if a man just, sticking like himself, like his, like, okay, males and females start off with pretty much a neutral body layout, right? Before the SRY gene. So we all have an X. Every human has an X, right? Only males have a Y, but human has an X. So we all kind of start off with like this sort of neutral body plan that's essentially female, okay? Then males on the Y gene has something called an SRY gene. Or on the Y chromosome has something called an SRY gene. And the SRY gene, I think, is activated around, and don't quote me on this, like day 26 or something like that. And that's when the body will begin to release anti-Müllerian hormones. The Müllerian structures are like the fallopian tubes, the uterus, the cervix. And so that prevents that stuff from forming. That's why, yeah, okay. So the clitoris, if you have two X chromosomes and you're going to develop as a female, your body, you're the two things that could either end up being testicles or ovaries will stay up in your body, and they'll become ovaries, and they'll eventually start producing ova, which is female gametes. You have something that, your clitoris, if you become a female, it'll become a clitoris. If you have a Y chromosome, it'll grow into a penis, right? It's structurally very similar, the penis and the clitoris. And they're both, like wired with a lot of, pleasure and sensitive nerve endings and things like that. For women, it's way more condensed. With men, it's sort of stretched out across their phallus. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. So I say all that to say, for the women who think that they're still experiencing pleasure after this, after phalloplasty and stuff, it makes me really wonder how much they really even understand their own pleasure and what kind of experience they have with orgasm, because it's I'm not sure about all that. All right, so let's just watch this. So for those who don't know, because again, I think a lot of women don't fully understand female orgasm or female pleasure, and it's something we should know. We should know about our bodies. Hold on, let me see. All right, yeah, so here we go. So it's all right.
And stimulation in erogenous zones, vaginal, and stimulation in erogenous zones, commonly the nipple area. For most women, orgasm depends critically on stimulation of the external glands of the clitoris. The clitoris has the most nerve endings in the human body. It has legs and vestibular bulbs that wrap around the vagina. The legs and the bulbs contain erectile tissue that fills with blood and expands when sexually aroused. Some women can achieve different kinds of orgasms from stimulation of select regions inside the vagina, such as the so-called G-spot and cervix, or a blend of the two. Erogenous zones are sensitive areas that can provide pleasure and sexual arousal when they receive stimulation.
All right, come on, speed this up.
And the nipples are a common erogenous zone for many people. Each nipple has hundreds of nerve endings, making them super sensitive tissue.
So that's another thing that's being removed by trans, in the female to male, and I say that in air quotes because there is no such thing as changing sex, right? The FTM, so-called I'll call it sex simulation surgery, okay? Opposite sex simulation surgery, because that's what it is. It's about trying to artificially simulate the genitals of the opposite sex, it's not in any way are you actually creating the opposite sex genitals. And I think we underestimate how naive some people really are. I think that I also want to go through how some of these surgeons talk about these procedures and how it can be misleading to somebody who doesn't know a lot about their own anatomy and physiology. But it's so we're removing basically, again, all of the sensitive parts of a woman's body, her breasts and, her vagina, and we're interfering and cutting into that sensitive nerve highway that's responsible for her pleasure. Do you know that the clitoris is the only organ in the human body, male or female, whose sole purpose is pleasure? That's such we're You know, like every other, like men, their penis has to do other things, but like we have this beautiful organ. And why would you want to sacrifice that for anything? Because women, I think, are so trained to believe that their pleasure is just secondary, that their pleasure isn't real. You have people who literally argue that the female orgasm doesn't exist. Even women. You know, we have women who have babies and get married and have never had an orgasm. We just don't understand how it works. They think that, or they think the clit is the tip of it and that's it. They don't understand the nerve system that goes inside of their bodies and wraps around your vagina. And a lot of these women who are on testosterone and who are having phalloplasty are having vaginectomies and having, their vagina taken out and closed up, sewn up, just removing all possible access to female pleasure. And it's criminal.
When the nipples are stimulated, they send sparks in the genital sensory cortex. This is the same area of the brain that's aroused by vaginal or clitoral stimulation. During arousal, blood flows to the genitals.
Oh, I never finished what I was saying. Male orgasm is faster and it's technically, I think, like more intense, but like for a much shorter time. It's like really hot and then it goes down. For women, when it's like you get, again, because I also think because it takes a longer time and it's this build up and it's this build up. And then when it hits, it's like, ugh. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like this, but it's a lot longer too. It's like, and it's like your whole body. And again, and it's like, so because technically the clitoris and the penis are so structurally similar, they do similar things. The clitoris, it fills up, it becomes engorged with blood and technically becomes like erect, right? Like a little penis. That's why, with metoidioplasty and testosterone will grow the clitoris into what looks like a micro penis. And then it'll have like these spasms and contractions the way that a penis does when it's, ejaculating and having an orgasm. But, for women, again, it's this like longer, like full body thing. And we have no refractory period. So women can orgasm like back to back to back. Men need a time where they have to recharge basically and reset, where there's a certain period of time where they can't physically orgasm again. Women can have like multiple orgasms back to back. And it's like, I just think that it's like a lot of people, a lot of men and a lot of women stop before they can fully get, a woman there. And also men don't need as much foreplay as women do. And I think a lot of like men will skip out on that. And I think that like, because, there's other parts of a woman's body that are sensitive and that need to be like stimulated, like your breasts and like your like neck and stuff like that, and it's like, I just, again, as a man, like, how don't you feel like a pussy? Like if you aren't making your woman orgasm. And I think back to when I was in like college, I've always had men who are really concerned with my pleasure. I was lucky. Matt, hold on. Let me go with my dog here. I'm gonna let this play for a second. I gotta let my dog go pee. Give me a second.
Causing them to become more sensitive. As arousal increases, a person's heart and breathing rate may increase. Many women experience rhythmic muscle spasms in the vagina, uterus, and anus during or even after an orgasm. Contractions typically last between 0.8 and 17 seconds, but it can be different. Lubrication begins when the hormones signal to the brain that you are being aroused sexually.
Why is it so slow?
And the vulvovaginal glands start secreting fluids to help the process of penetration. There is swelling in the inner and outer vaginal lips. Although orgasm in women is not accompanied by seminal emission, some women squirt a mixture of urine and Skene's gland secretions from the urethra at orgasm, which
Why is this
contain
so
urea,
cringe?
creatinine, uric acid, and prostate-specific antigen. Hormonal birth control during or after pregnancy and menopause may cause some women to find it difficult to feel wet and experience painful intercourse.
Yeah, it is calming. You're right. It is calming. It's so sad too. Again, even this is why hormonal birth control, and I feel like I never had trouble with my fertility. I think because I don't know if I know my sister did, and my sister was on birth control her whole life. I was on hormonal birth control for about 3 months out of my whole life. And then I just pretty much learned how to read my like cervical mucus and cervix, and that's a whole other thing, right? And I'm not saying I wouldn't. I like am cautious to recommend that to other people because I feel like I was so good at it because I like really knew what I was doing. I always knew exactly when I or when I ovulated and when my like fertility window was and stuff like that. You have to be really good at it and really in tune with yourself, and like it's like kind of like a lost art. But I feel like for like my daughters, like what I would recommend to them would be like also just not have a ton of just recreational sex with somebody that you're not prepared to have a child with. Let's start there. And not just because of some like rigid morality system or something, but because it's like it ruins it. It's this like precious thing that you share with somebody who's supposed to be so important in your life, and it's like it's the pathway to your motherhood. It's what will bring your children into this earth and like protect them. Protect them, love your children enough, these your potential children that you carry in your ovaries, enough to not put them in danger by possibly activating them at the wrong time with the wrong person. And stop allowing like people to have access to your body who don't deserve it, and at a time that would put you in danger if you were to become pregnant, like require men to rise to a standard and to provide enough for you so that you can have a nest and a healthy, happy space to welcome any children that come, right? So, but if I would say a copper plated IUD, which is non-hormonal, which has its own possible issues with like uterine perforation and stuff, but they're the most reliable, they're by far the most effective, they're non-hormonal. They say that they last up to 10 years, but a lot of studies and research are finding that they could actually last up to 15, even 20 years. They're just very reliable, they're really cheap, and it's like once they're in, and they don't have, a lot of like in the beginning, the worst side effects is that it causes like a lot of bleeding and cramping and stuff, unfortunately, but that does eventually subside. It would just be like make sure you like keep your iron levels and stuff up.
Without asking her, there is no way to tell if a woman has had an orgasm.
Yeah, and I hear you. So DG says, I hated the copper IUD. I do much better in Mirena. Keeps my fibroids and endometriosis in check. And again, that's why every woman has to, it's really not a one size fits all. And hormonal contraceptions do have benefits for women who do have things like fibroids and endometriosis. And so it's like, you got to just really listen to your body and learn as much as you can, and it's also just another reason why I just think that like we got to just also learn our bodies enough to be able to track our own fertility naturally, let that work with you. And let's just stop putting ourselves in a position where we're putting our fertility at risk with men that we wouldn't actually want to reproduce with at a time that we wouldn't actually want a child. You know what I mean? Like, sex is important and whatever. All right, anyway.
Yes.
All right, I don't want to. All right, fucking do like we got the picture. You guys saw like the main thing. I don't know what the rest of this is, but all right, this is so. But yeah, this is like what it is. Okay, so again, these are the bulbs. All of this goes. So it's a network of nerve endings and stuff that wrap around the vagina. So literally, it's like when you're, like when you're having vaginal intercourse, with a man or a penis or whatever, or dildo, whatever, and your vagina, again, it's reactive and responsive, and we have a bunch of muscles. This is also what's different about the so-called like neo vagina. They don't have the sort of muscular control that we have, where we can grip grip the penis, and we grip the penis with our muscles, and we're able to like contract our muscles, and around that, around our vagina is a whole network of nerves and stuff. And so like when there's that friction, you can feel it, right? So anyway, all right, so you guys get the picture. So all right, so let's go with phalloplasty. Let's see. So I just wanted to show you guys really quick. There's like a few videos I wanted to look at. Let's see. I understand. Wish to proceed. This one we got to look at. Hold on. Where is this? This guy. Where is it? All right. Let's take a look really fast at this girl's, just the title of her videos, I think is so telling. So this is a girl who had phalloplasty. I think phalloplasty is so sad. Okay. All right. So her very first video 9 years ago, female to male transgender. Here, let's see if I can get it to go like wanted to. All right. Yeah, here we go. All right. Hold on. Female to male transgender pre-testosterone introduction. Hold on for a second. All right. Let's see. So I want to go. All right. So female update on my testosterone. So let's hear her voice really quick.
This is the perfect product for me.
Makes me feel so good.
I sleep better. My mood, my energy.
Hey guys, my name's Cody. I am a female to male transgender. I am pre-T, but I'm post-top surgery. I just had top surgery 5 weeks ago with Dr. Satterwhite in the Bay Area. He was trained under Dr. Crane.
Oh, Dr. Crane. Oh my God. So that's horrible. We're going to get to, if you don't know who Dr. Crane is, he is diabolical. And actually I have a video of his queued up, which is crazy. She's from the Bay Area. So she's from outside of she's from like near San Francisco. So she's at like ground zero for all of this stuff. Okay. So this is what her original voice sounded like. This is what she looks like now. But let's go through. This timeline is so telling. So, all right. So that was what her voice looked like. Female to male, update on my journey to testosterone. 2 months post-op surgery and testosterone updates. Officially on T. So it's like, look at all the excitement. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Real quick. Just as like real early.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Cody. Just kind of want to give a quick update about my journey to taking testosterone. So I got an email from my doctor finally talking, like I was on this waiting period of, she was trying to contact another doctor in order to like get some guidance on what to do, like how to treat me. And so I was waiting, and then I waited, and finally after a couple weeks, she emailed me saying that she was referring me to the Gender Health Center, which was kind of funny because I had already gone to the Gender Health Center, and they encouraged me to go through my primary, to go through you because I have insurance.
This is going to be just rambly and boring anyway. Okay, so, all right. Officially on T. Again, this is 9 years ago. 1 week testosterone, 2 weeks on testosterone, 4 weeks on testosterone, 5 weeks on T. So she's doing weekly updates, 7 weeks on testosterone, transition and friendships, 9 weeks on T updates, 10 weeks, so every week. Top surgery, 6 months post-op, dysphoria, Interview with CrossFit coach Elijah. 4 months on T and binder giveaways. She's doing binder giveaways. Come on, bro. Bucks for binders. Female to male interview with Molly. Transition in religion, etc. Female to male, 5 months on testosterone coming out. Yes, I was. Oh, so she's heterosexual and was married to a man, and this one is actually really interesting. So she was married to a man, and like when she was like presenting as a woman or whatever. And they were like really, really religious, and they like did not believe whether that was imposed on them or whatever, but they didn't believe on having, intercourse or sexual relationships before marriage. So she like got married and lost her virginity like to her husband. That's a whole thing. Let's see if like we'll just really quick see if we can like land.
Down to a flask of water.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Cody.
Wow. So listen to the difference of her voice. 5 months on testosterone.
Well, I am 5 months on T today, May 11th. As far as changes go, nothing too exciting. I feel like 6 months is probably more exciting. But I'm making a 5-month video anyways. I feel like every week I do my shot. Like hair, facial hair.
Rennie says, so she calls herself a gay man now. I'm totally sure. I'm totally sure. It's so cringe.
Just growing faster.
Yeah, testosterone ages them a lot.
More, starting to fill in more. And it recognizes your face, and that's like all they focus on is the familiarity of your face. So if they've known you for a long time, then they're not going to notice changes. Was paranoid. I had some internal.
It's so hard. I'm sorry, guys. It's so hard to hear her. The reason why I want to go through this is because I'm gonna stop playing her videos. I want to just show you the it's like it tells the whole story if you just read the titles of these things, right? All right. So again, 3 months on T and tattoos, top surgery update 6 months post-op, dysphoria, interview. 5 months on testosterone and coming out. Yes, I was married once. Female to male pharmacy issues and health checks. Female to male transition, 6 months on testosterone. Female to male bottom surgery and 7 months on testosterone. So she had the top surgery before she got on testosterone. Then got on testosterone, and then it looks like at around 7 months on testosterone is when she starts inquiring about bottom surgery and starts whatever that process is. Vita Day, regrets, YouTube history. I don't know what Vita Day means. Haters, female to male, 9 months on T and bottom surgery. So, all right. So at 9 months, she has her first consultation for bottom surgery. This is very telling. Just watch. So again, she's still kind of like happy and like excited and looking forward to stuff. Female to male histo consultation, second opinion. So she's talking about getting a hysterectomy. Okay, again, these are there's nothing more like dystopian to me than the term gender affirming hysterectomy. To me, it is so insane. So I don't know if her ex is a trans widow. I don't know if they broke up and then she began the transition, or I think that might have been the case. I'm not sure. And I wonder, she just seems to have like some trauma from like maybe being religious, from the marriage sounds like it was traumatic for her. So I wonder if the trauma maybe had anything that led to her transition, had anything to do with what went on during the marriage. I think that's a whole thing that would be interesting to look at. And if anybody wants to look more into her, I think it's like Cody. I'll give you guys the name of the channel. 1 year post-op trans surgery. So again, this is 8 years ago. So 1 year she's looking into like hysterectomies, 10 months on T and going stealth. So it sounds like she had top surgery and then waited 2 months and then got on testosterone. And then about a year after top surgery, she started looking into, the hysterectomy and everything else. So female to male histo consultation, second opinion, 11 months testosterone, thoughts on transition. Female to male, will transition ruin your relationship? Okay, wait, hold on. This one was interesting. Because this is where she talks a little bit
about... Are you sick of having issues with your webinars, wasting tons of time on troubleshooting with attendees?
I don't know.
Oh, I think, and Peach says people should not be held hostage in marriage to this insane ideology. Absolutely. And I think that it should be grounds for divorce. I think anybody should be allowed to, request divorce and get like a good settlement if their partner decides to do this. And especially if they sterilize themselves and genitally mutilate.
You. So
Let's
going
see.
in
Listen to how much the voice has changed in just like 1 year.
that when you are starting testosterone in a relationship, maybe you are someone who's thinking about starting testosterone, but you're in a relationship and you're afraid of how this person is going to see you going through these changes or how it's going to affect your relationship. And I think the biggest mistake is probably going into transition and thinking that you're not going to change at all. There's obvious physical changes that are going to happen, but there are some emotional changes that you're going to go through. Honestly, like you are going to have some emotional changes. You are going to be different, but you're not going to be a completely different person. Basically, through what I've experienced with testosterone, it's kind of like testosterone reveals that underlayer that you've always had with you, but as you grow more comfortable with yourself, you're more comfortable with expressing that other layer that you've always kind of hidden away and things like that. So it's not this complete overhaul of like, you're a new person, I don't know you. So don't worry that that's going to be the case, but there is going to be some adjustment. So just think about that. When you're starting testosterone within a relationship, there are going to be differences and adjustments to make and things like that. When I look back to when I was first starting testosterone, like the biggest changes and differences that I noticed at first was I did have some mood shifts. And I know that I felt afraid to show if I was in a bad mood or if I was having some sort of mood shift.
That's another big thing. Testosterone makes you like mood swing like crazy. And it makes them like aggressive and volatile. And that's like a big, obviously that's a huge strain on relationships. And I think it's really sad for the person having to put up with it. Let's go through. Okay, so all right, so let's see. Fears about, okay, so female to male will, hold on, let me see, where are we? Okay, will transition ruin your relationship? Female to male fears about transition, the journey, 1 year on testosterone, how I knew I was transgender, my brother's perspective. Like, look at the difference. You can see like between the actual male. Let's see, histo update. So hysterectomy update and bottom surgery thoughts. Being transgender is expensive. Respecting a trans person, religion, faith, doubt, being transgender. So this is like, body stuff. So it's all just kind of, again, like a lot of like pro-trans stuff. Female to male hysterectomy information update. So I guess, okay, so now we start getting into the post-op stuff. Watch how these change. So before it was all like optimistic and my thoughts on this and kind of like lighthearted, right? Female to male hysterectomy information update. Female to male, this is 7 years ago. Female to male hysterectomy 1 day post-op. Smiling, so excited. I just pulled out my uterus for no reason. And again, it's like a uterus is, do you know how important, like structurally important a uterus is to hold in? Like, we have all of our organs like work together. The pelvic floor now is liable to collapse without the structural, presence of, and the structural support that a uterus provides, right? There's other things. And then once your pelvic floor starts to collapse, then you have issues like anal prolapse and incontinence and having to wear a diaper and not being able to control your bowels and, so many other issues. Female to male, 1 week post-op hysterectomy and first shot of T. Oh, can't wait to get back onto the T. Female to male, 2 weeks post-op hysterectomy update. It's so sad. Being misgendered, every moment counts, running from problems and finding happiness. Am I enough? Female to male hysterectomy, 5 weeks post-op. Transgender visibility. Everyone has the time. Oh, here we go. The time I shit my pants. Didn't I say it? You start to become incontinent because of this stuff. So she's going to tell the story about how she is now basically incontinent and doesn't realize how much it has to do probably with what she's done to herself. Female to male testosterone voice comparison, channel updates. All right, so now let's see. Keep going. All right, so now we're talking about hasn't done bottom surgery yet, hasn't had fallow. Bottom surgery, nipples, which bathroom, learning from mistakes. Oh, so let's see. This was her. So this is her. See her in the wedding dress? This was her on her wedding day. So I think that there was a lot of trauma surrounding this marriage that she had. And I would have to, I don't know a lot. I didn't watch a lot of her videos, but it just seems like there's a lot of religious stuff going on and religious kind of very conservative and strict religiousness. Transition regret. Oh, I'll have to take a look at that. Wait, let's see. Does she say anything about that? Hold on, let's see. They never want to be honest.
Her promise here. When the gunman...
A lot of times
Regret.
they'll be like, oh, I don't regret anything.
This is a word that I am all too familiar with. As a transgender individual, I've had people ask me if I regret transition or if there's anything that I regret about transition. I think that as a trans individual, it's pretty healthy, natural, and normal to ask yourself if it's something you're going to regret. I think every trans individual that I know has had that thought process where you really consider the outcome and you have to decide what is right for you. This isn't an easy process. This is a huge step. It's a huge life-changing step. And I think that if you didn't question whether you were going to regret something, whether it's transitioning or any life decision, then there's probably a big...
So she's starting to tune into some of her feelings of regret, and rather than start to pull back, she goes full steam ahead and continues on with the phalloplasty again. And this is the danger of, the sunk cost fallacy, right? Well, I've already, put so much into it. And even though I'm starting to feel regret, I might as well get the benefit that I'm supposed to be getting by going all the way, right? By keep going and go hit that end point, that I originally was aspiring to. If I don't get there, then it will be like I did all this for nothing. I might as well keep going. I might as well at least get the so-called benefit that I think I'm supposed to get. And this should have been where she stopped. But, didn't happen.
Bigger issue, and maybe you should probably think things through a little more thoroughly. So if you're wondering at this point if I regret my transition, the answer to that question is absolutely not. There are plenty of things in life.
It's so obvious that they do, and there was definitely not. Love my surgeon. It was life saving. See, and they always say, but the thing is for me is that it was life saving. It was either this or death. So it's they're comparing what they're dealing with now to being dead. Because they still keep that idea, again, whether they believe it or they just used it as an excuse or a cope, they believe that, I had to do this or else, I could be dead. Who knows what would have happened if I didn't go through with this. So that's what they're comparing it to. They're not comparing it to when they were whole and healthy as a female. They're comparing to, had they be, is this better than death? Well, yeah, I'm glad to be alive. You darn right. It's well, no, how about compared to when you were full and were able to have sex and orgasm and not be in chronic pain and not keep going and doing surgery after surgery after surgery.
That I regret, like eating beans before a date, shaving my head, going to bed too late, drinking too much alcohol. These are all things that are worthy of regret. However, transition for me has been the best decision in my life. Not for a second do I regret transition. And it almost hurts to think that people could think that I could regret my transition because I'm.
Look at the cope and notice how she won't look into the camera as she always looks away as she says, I don't regret it. And then looks back and then has to look away again. Oh, we're going to find out if that's true based on like some of these titles.
I'm so much happier now. It hurts to think that they can't see the difference between who I was even a year ago to who I am now.
You're right. Estella says she's struggling to actually say those words. She like winces as she says it. Like she can't like get herself to say it. It was exactly like how Jamie Dodger always winces whenever she says that she's so glad she did it.
I've noticed lately that I've felt a bit more of a need to always put on this front that you're okay. It's like people who watch you transition are kind of, I feel like, expect.
Kayla Carpenter, I'm so sorry, and I appreciate you sharing that here, you know, and I'm glad that you're able to have some like perspective, and hopefully that you never went through with any self-harm, and children deserve to be safe. God, children deserve to be safe. This is why loosening the reins on these sexually degenerative men is so insane. You know, children are the most precious resource, are our most precious thing in our society, and to think that we're eroding safeguards is so horrifying to me. You know, and I'm not gonna just take it laying down because there are already so many children who are hurt as it is, and to allow these men to proliferate and to get worse and worse and sicker in their sexual degeneracy and to become more emboldened. It's like, over my dead body am I going to just sit by and let this continue?
Expecting you to fall, or they're expecting to see like a hiccup in your transition. They're expecting to see that time where you decide that this was not the right decision for you, or that this is the time where you decide that you regret this and that it wasn't the right thing for you. And that's a lot of pressure, and I feel like it makes me want to put on this front where I'm always okay. But the truth is that transition, although it has changed my life in the best way possible, it is not a cure-all for everything.
There we go.
If it was a cure-all for everything, there would be cisgender people in this world who had absolutely no problems. They would never be depressed. They would never be anxious. They would never have any other sort of...
Oh, no. Carol, I'm so grateful for that these videos exist. I just wish that the problem is, it's like, Carol, you're obviously like a highly intelligent person. It would just the fact that they feel like that they have to keep repeating the mantras of I don't regret it, I'm so grateful. You know, unfortunately for people who are not as mature, don't have the critical thinking skills, or not as, you know, well developed emotionally, intellectually, whatever, you know, don't have the maturity to kind of like read between the lines and kind of, you know, look at the evidence that they're providing and be able to separate that from the words that they're repeating about how happy they are. It's like, that's the dangerous part, you know? And it's like some people aren't able to read between the lines and see all of the horrors for what they are. And they're going to take her at face value when she says like, oh no, it's just because of how my body healed. It was something specific to me. It's not saying that this will happen to you or anybody else. And it could be a big problem, but you're so right. I mean, of course I'm glad. That's why it's so important, I think, for us as gender critical YouTubers to kind of be a sort of like a filter for some of this content so that people can find it and be like, oh, so we can kind of like help walk people through what's actually going on here and help people read between the lines about like what's, you know, what's really like being said. That's not, it's like saying the quiet part out loud. No, but I'm so glad for these
mental
videos.
Disorders or sicknesses or anything like that. As trans people, we are.
Oh, Sophie, I saw you under one from Sophie. I saw you commented, I think, on her, either her or I think it was this one, like 7 years ago. I was like, oh, and it was like, it must have been when you were just kind of like figuring out where you stood and everything. And it was like, hey, I know her. It's like, it's just interesting. When I have like a few times run into like commenters from my channel on like other channels and even like totally unrelated channels. I'm like, oh, squad. Anyway.
Immune to depression and anxiety just because we transitioned and now we should be okay, we should be fixed, we should be ready to conquer the world. And it's like, although there are days that I am ready to conquer the world, there are still days that I suffer from dysphoria. There are still days.
She's in a lot of pain. Yeah, exactly. Carol says she said she didn't regret it. But I was like, well, if I was in your position, I would regret it. And that's exactly right. And it's like, and thank God that you have the level of critical thinking that you do, right? Thank God. Because you probably saved yourself from a lot of heartache, and like you were able to not get sucked into a sunk cost fallacy. Even though you had started doing some aspects of transition, you didn't think like, well, I guess to get the full effect out of this, I got to go all the way. You knew when to like stop. Once you were starting to get skeptical. All right, so again, let's see. All right, so female. So here's where now again it's been like a year and some change. She's now had a hysterectomy. She's had incontinence as a result. Talks about having like shitting her pants pretty much. Because I started listening to that video earlier. She's had top surgery, hysterectomy, has had incontinence, and has been on testosterone for over a year now. Okay, and has had the mood swings. Has clearly had cause and effect to her relationships around her. She's pretty much implied that. So, and now she's starting to like meditate on regret. Unfortunately, she continues full steam ahead. Hysterectomy updates, dating, fitness, female to male bodybuilding journey, love wins. So talking about the Orlando attack, which was horrible. Why am I competing? My struggles, eating disorders and bodybuildings, my struggles. Again, we know that especially for female to males, there's a big comorbidity between gender medicine and gender transition and things like anorexia, bulimia, eating disorders. There's a huge comorbidity component, almost interchangeability to that, that was described by Lisa Littman in her rapid onset gender dysphoria analysis and hypothesis. Female to male, processing the past. So she's doing a lot of like reflection, legal name and gender change. Boy, that is so dangerous. Especially, that we have more slaves right now on earth than we have ever had at any other time in human history. Do you know how dangerous it is that they can just go and change people's name and gender and do all this stuff, and our legal documents don't have to represent legal truths? How dangerous and insane that is, and the implications for that. If she got stuck or upheld, say she went to like Russia or like, China or something and got detained, and they see, oh, you're a male and she's got a phalloplasty, she's going to be housed with men. She's going to be housed with men. Or what if she's abroad and she gets hurt or very sick and is unconscious, and they have to go take her to a hospital and they start treating her according to male parameters? She could lose her life. We know that actually happened. There was a female to male, trans-identifying female who presented to a hospital, and they treated her as though she were a biological male, and she ended up dying in the emergency room because of that. Because they didn't check. They didn't think that, they should go pull her pants down and be sure that her legal documents weren't lying. It is dangerous. All right, physique update again. So there's obviously, an issue of body dysmorphia here that goes beyond just the gender stuff. Hold on. I don't know what Vita Day is. Contest prep, non-romantic love, showing non-romantic love. And I feel like, again, that might be another cope, because again, once you start doing this to yourself, you're actually people think that they're opening and widening their sexual and dating prospects. They're actually minimizing them. So now it's like, well, maybe we can just at least be friends. Problematic phase, if I had $1 million. Female to male representation in the media, bringing back the 90s. Oh, wait, hold on for a second. Okay, 8 weeks out. Okay, hold on. So this is all like, she's had some consultations for the bottom surgery, hasn't had bottom surgery. Talking about like food, so it's kind of getting like into this bodybuilding thing and is really, controlling of her body. I don't know what beat it is. A lot of meal prep stuff. This reminds me of like Lisa Michelle's videos, like a lot of like anorexic competition. It's over. Okay, so now she's done with her. She finally, okay, so she was really, and it seems like this woman seems like somebody who like hyperfixates on one different thing, right? So she was like hyperfixating on like the testosterone. That's all we heard about was the daily updates on the testosterone. Then it seemed like she had enrolled to compete in this like fitness thing, and then that's all we heard about for that. We're hyperfixated on that, and then she says, "Okay, it's over." So had the competition. All right, now that's done. Now she's got some free time, and her mind is needing something new to latch on to. Okay, time to bulk. Full day of eating. Okay, now here we go. Now she's going to start to switch her focus to the phalloplasty. It's not a choice. Female to male transition update. Phalloplasty facial hair. Again, it's the idea that this is something I have to do. Or else, I might not survive.
Here's an urgent message for all
So
those
let's
grappling
see.
with herpes virus. Deep in the heart of a sleepy village on the edge.
Hi, I'm Cody. Life used to look a lot different for me. So, one day, I realized I needed a change. It has been a long, hard, and amazing journey. Welcome to my vlogs. Welcome to my life.
Yeah, DC Isaac says that's why T for T is now so big. They can only pull on the train. Exactly.
My 2 years is December 11th, and that is so crazy to me. And changes are still happening. And when I think of it that way, I just like. So, yeah, this surgery is not an option. And when I think of it that way,
All right, hold on.
so it's almost like I enjoy it. I think with the electrolysis too, it's helped kind of put my mind in the right place of mentally and physically preparing for surgery. So it's almost like I enjoy electrolysis because it's like a physical, tangible step towards the surgery that is seemingly so far off. And so, yeah, this surgery is not an option. And when I think of it that way, I just like let go of that weird control anxiety feeling. And
you hear what she's saying? Because when I think of it that way, I let go of that control anxiety. That's the way that she deals with the cognitive dissonance of feeling like this is wrong. I've got to stop. The rational part inside of her that's screaming at her to pay attention and to stop. And she's saying again, because they keep up with the mantras that this is life-saving. Even all of the doctors are telling that. All of the other people in the trans groups are saying that you have to do this. This is absolutely, utterly critical. Or it's, again, she's comparing it to, well, it's either that or I might not survive. Then I guess it's, then I guess the choice is obvious. Right? And that's it's so not... not accurate, but it's like they hook you in with that because these people just want to just get the surgery done and go charge your insurance and then shuttle on to the next. They're predators.
I feel so at peace with it, and I get excited, and I just can't wait to finally feel complete in my body. And I understand that not everyone has the desire for bottom surgery. I'm just talking about my own self and my own experience. And yeah, looking forward to standing to pee and all those other benefits.
Standing to pee.
To this surgery for me.
Oh, and real quick, guys, if you guys haven't already, please like the video. It really, really helps. So I'm so shadow banned. So when you guys like the video, it makes a huge difference in my ability to have my videos be seen. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe. Another big help. And, like and comment, subscribe. And if you would like to support the channel, you can do so at my Venmo at a slightly twisted female. My birthday's coming up. Or at Cash App at a slightly twisted XX. So I figured I'd just plug that. all of the support is why I'm able to continue to keep doing this work, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's continue. Please be sure to like the video.
Sad to lose this tattoo. I am going to contact the guy who did this tattoo for me, and I want to kind of get some ideas started to help me kind of cope a little bit with, you know, the scar. And then
Okay, so whatever. So she's still kind of like, I have to do this, even though there's a part of her that's clearly begging her to stop and like reverse course. She's like, nope, nope. But you know, I hear this little squeak in my ear, but you know, must be nothing. Let me just keep going. All right, hold on. So where were we? It's just so interesting to watch how this, like, how the tone of these titles start to change. And it is sad. Hold on, let's see. Where are we? Okay. Wait, that's transition regret. We did all this. Whoa, comparison, almost to the stage. Okay, here we go. Competition day. Okay. Now, what was this like? This one right here. Where is this? Oh. Comparison. I guess what she's showing off, like her panties. Interesting. Feeling burned out. Okay, so this was all before. Okay, so she did the competition. So now she's switching her attention to the phalloplasty. So now look at so they have to do the electrolysis. So the reason why they have to do electrolysis, because especially if they take the arm scan, which is like the worst, I think, is to do the arm. It's like if you had to do it, I would choose the leg, but they're both horrible. The arm, so they basically, there's to the radial, you know, they basically cut the arm because of the fact that the skin is already sort of wraps around. I guess it makes it, you know, more amenable to be able to roll it into a tube. That's one option for harvesting skin, or they harvest skin from right here, right? I guess the issue with your leg is that sometimes it's more, because there's more fat on your thigh. It can be like a Coke bottle. But then sometimes the problem with this is like it can be too skinny. But oh my God, it looks so painful to heal. And they said that like women who get it, skin harvest from their arm, again, this is skin for the phalloplasty. So they'll take skin grafts from the arm or from the upper thigh, roll it up into like a tube, and then they'll sew it onto the suprapubic bone, which is so ridiculous. And they bury the clitoris, and then we'll talk about how, you know, that the sexual sensation of that, which makes no sense that there even would be any. But they have to do electrolysis. An electrolysis is to basically destroy all the hair follicles, because if they miss some hair follicles and hair grows inside, it'll grow inside of the urethra, because they have to take a piece of the skin and roll it up and basically create an elongated urethra. And if hair grows inside of that, it can cause so many problems. It can cause infection. It can be really, really bad. And then also, you know, some women who have either not gotten electrolysis for the actual phallus itself, the phallus can be like hairy. They grow hair on it because it's arm skin. So it's like, all right, physique updates. So obviously has a lot of issues around controlling her body. Like that much is like, should the doctors, the doctors have a responsibility to look into this, and they're missing these glaring red flags about letting her go through with this, but they don't care. You know, again, it's this one doctor who's like a huge quack. It's this doctor. This is the doctor who was, who trained the doctor that she got, and we're going to listen from him, and he is horrific. From the Crane Center, he has so many lawsuits against him. That guy is something else. But I just want to go through, like, just watch how these titles change. Setting goals, full day of eating, weekly goals, I failed, female to male transition, 2 years on testosterone. All right, so she's so that's what she looked like prior. Okay, so that was her on her wedding day. Let's do this. Female to male transition, testosterone hurting my kidneys. So now we're starting to see some of the fallout of what she's doing to herself. I'm over it. No more dogma. God, I want to click some of these, but I also want to keep going. New Year's resolution, goals for 2017. Again, this is at the height of when, remember, 2017, all this is at the height when we were starting to see a lot of extreme censorship around trans issues. You know, it wasn't as bad as it was in like 2020, but we're starting to see, this is back when you really couldn't say anything. And this is when this was really becoming you know, more, just taking off around the world with women, right? Female to male, how to get your hysterectomy. How sad. Female to male fitness, how to get started, the weekly 5. What is gender dysphoria? Okay, so again, talking about a lot about food. Does testosterone lose its potency? Insurance problems. Like, what a living hell to just live like this. Doubt, fear, motivation. How it feels to be living in 2 dimensions, saving money. I can't hold it in. So female to male expressing anger. Again, we know that, you know, women who are shooting exogenous testosterone, you know, we see that a lot with men who abuse testosterone and anabolic steroids for bodybuilding reasons. You know, we've seen a lot of these horrible cases of these men abusing their wives or girlfriends, or hurting other people, or ending up, you know, being in jail, catching criminal charges and committing crimes, because it makes you very aggressive and it makes women aggressive. Phalloplasty update. So let's see. Oh, what is it? Okay, so she got the electrolysis. So the electrolysis was just to, again, destroy all the hair follicles on the part of the skin that they're going to farm. Time to get focused, stranger danger. So female to male, growing up scared. That's interesting. Asking for help, testosterone changes, feeling grateful, I'm not perfect. Female to male electrolysis, question and answer, fluid eating. Again, so now we're getting ready for the trans and Christian. So that's probably a whole thing. Again, a lot of focus around food, or surgery anxiety. So you could tell she's having a lot. So surgery anxiety, you can see that she's having a lot of second thoughts about a lot of this, right? And she's having a lot of like concerns and cognitive dissonance that she ultimately ends up ignoring, and to her detriment. And it's like, you know, it clearly something inside her was warning her early that this was not a good direction for her. Somewhere inside she knew. Feeling disappointed. So meal prep, trans visibility, be kind to yourself, going bald. That's one of the things I feel like they don't tell you a whole lot. Life is short, how to ruin your life. So we're seeing a lot of very like depressive. So again, as she's going through all these changes, she should be based on what we're being told, right? As to why these are so life-saving and necessary, she should be progressively improving. But from what I see, she looks so much happier earlier on, when she was just getting started. She was excited, looking forward to it. You could see like it was like the euphoria of like my life's about to change. And we've seen it progressively actually get worse. We see, you know, a lot of like depression, isolation. And it's like, how can we not see that this is all a form of self-harm, right? So again, if we see a woman who's cutting herself as you know, a response to her mental anguish, we're not going to see we're not going to see like, oh, well, she needs to keep cutting herself even more, right? She's not cutting herself enough. We got to increase the cutting. So you know, it's because she's not cutting effectively enough. That's why she's unhappy. No. It is the cutting that is the byproduct of the depression, not the other way around. Okay? So again, it's like, how do we not apply that same logic to these women who are trying to self-harm through this gender medicine? How do we not see that, hey, this is obviously a byproduct of, you know, deep emotional, spiritual, mental anguish and pain, and that's why she's, you know, reaching out to self-harm in that way. And it's like, no, we need to do more of it. Life is short, getting close. Okay, 2 months until phalloplasty. Here we go. Full day of eating, the waiting game. shot anxiety. This isn't good. Surgery might not be happening. Look how much it just absorbs their life, right? And it's like, do we see anything about her working or her building relationships? This becomes her whole world. They become so fixated, right? And I think that this is why autistic women and girls are so vulnerable to getting sucked into this sort of ideology, is because there's a tendency to fixate on things. A fixate, and this is going to be what makes me happy. I've got to make this happen, and there's so much involved, and it just really keeps women from functioning in the world, building other areas of their life. It's like they're like being like stuck in a suspended animation, and you really think that once this happens and once I finally do this, then I can be happy, then I can start to live, then I can go and start pursuing my other goals. And the fact of the matter is that not only is that not going to happen, are you not going to reach the point where you're finally happy and you're finally excited, content with yourself. It's going to be this opposite effect of this like deep disappointment of, what have I done? This didn't give me what I thought it was going to, and there's no going back. And now I've actually lost a lot. These doctors absolutely are monsters. Master says the autism to trans pipeline is terrifying. It's almost as if they're trying to sterilize people with disabilities. Oh, wait, that's exactly what they're doing. It's exactly what they're doing. And it's why they're able to justify it. And it's so that, these doctors can hone their surgical technique. They're experimenting on the bodies of mentally ill people. While it's like a twofer, right? We can sterilize these people, and then we can also use them as a training ground to develop new surgical techniques for a whole new like range of skills. It's like a new frontier of trying to get control over the human body and replicate functions that we have no business trying to replicate. Medicine is about like restoring homeostasis, not about trying to play God. Eugenics being celebrated totally is transhumanism. This isn't good. Surgery might not be happening. Oh no, stress sucks. You never know what someone is going through. So she's very depressed. You could just see it just in her. I don't even have to play these videos to know that she is in deep mental anguish. I don't have to do this. I get to do this. Because I'm sure people are like, do you have to do it? No, I can't. Oh, so now look, all of a sudden, it's happening. Journey to Phalloplasty. This is a placebo effect. This is how placebos work. If you believe that your life is about to change for the better, if you believe that, and I feel like the opposite of a placebo effect, if placebo is such a real thing, where if we believe something is going to make us happy and have a certain effect, we will actually manifest that effect and believe that that effect is happening. The opposite has to be true too. If we're being told that by not doing something, horrible things can happen, that we'll sink further into depression, we'll be more likely to unalive ourselves, more likely to self-harm. I'm sure that that's what happens too. People manifest that sort of depression. Like, wow, I can't have, I'm not able to have this happen, and I'm so sad, and it's so horrible because everyone's telling me that it's horrible if I can't have access to this. Everyone's telling me that I could sink into depression. And I've heard, if Blair White said that's how he felt, that he, Robert was like, oh, if I don't do this, I would really believed that I could unalive myself. That's what I was told. I've had enough. I've had enough. Female to male being misgendered at work. Like, what do you want from us, sis? What did I do? Female to male being misgendered at work. Update. Female to male dealing with internet trolls. It never stops. My biggest struggle. So back to being depressed. The truth, one of my biggest insecurities. Phalloplasty, the RFF, or the ALT. So the RFF is the radial, I don't remember exactly what the acronym is, but the RFF is when they take the skin flap, they harvest the skin from your wrist and your arm, which is horrifying. It's horrifying, and it's painful, and it's horrible. Or from the upper thigh right here, which is the ALT. And she obviously decides to do the wrist. That's why she got the electrolysis and stuff. 28 days, female to male surgery, bittersweet. Journey to phalloplasty. Never again. Healing from my past, my wedding day. So she constantly brings up this photo from her wedding day. And look, never again. Healing from my past, my wedding day. I really do feel like that marriage, again, it was like a Christian strict marriage. And I feel like that might be a big catalyst of what she's running from. And what she, maybe her expectations of what she was supposed to be as a wife, and how that was imposed on her, and maybe she was being abused in some sort of way. It just, to me, I feel like there's got to be a lot more there. Good news, things to stay motivated. Myths about testosterone. So she's excited because she feels like she's fine. Look how like painful. Look at all the pain in her face. She's like unable to really smile. Like, what are these like faces? Make it stop. My anxiety is out of control. My probably because she's like partly panicked about actually having to go through with this. Again, maybe she's like praying that someone will actually like intervene, and it won't happen. It's this like weird push and pull. Things to avoid, question and answers, FTM, what I didn't know before starting testosterone. It'll never look the same. Female to male phalloplasty. What about the scar? Surgery supplies. Can't smile. The only time you see her smile is in the few times where it's like, yay, it's finally going to happen. Look, exactly. We finally have a smile. Pre-op tomorrow. Here comes the what's it called? The placebo effect, right? Pre-op tomorrow. Pre-op appointment. So it's like, yay, exciting. And then it's like, uh-oh, like kind of nervous again. 4 days out, happy but nervous. Travel day. There's the first real smile we've seen in a while. Oh, and who's this? Oh, what is that? That looks like another trans man, like another like female to male. I could be wrong, but I bet you it's another one who's had this and who's been like there trying to like pull her in. Who probably has done all the same stuff to herself and is like, misery loves company. So let's do this together. So I don't have to be alone. Bowel prep. Female to male. Oh, here we go. Here's the big smile. Yes, the placebo. My life's about to change. All of my pain's about to go away. I was told that if I went and did all of this stuff, the big reward is I'm going to, finally be happy and not depressed, and I can live this wonderful new life, and everything's going to change. So look, that's like that smile of hope, right? Female to male phalloplasty, 2 days post-op. Still riding that wave of being, wow, I'm so excited. This is real. I really did it. What is it? Like, oh, yay. Female to male phalloplasty, 3 days post-op. Female to male phalloplasty, 4 days post-op. 5 days post-op. 1 week post-op. Update. I pooped. I guess finally pooped after a week. Damn, I know that must be painful. I'm home. Arm reveal. Ooh, that's the arm. That's what her arm looks like. I don't want to have to scroll back up through it. That's what her arm looks like. That's the arm reveal. That's what are we doing to these women? What are we doing? This is so sad. God, this is so sad. How I pee. Well, I thought you got to stand to pee now, right? I thought that was like the big, exciting, like big moment, It's so sad. I get to pee. Okay. Not today. Hand therapy. So now she's got to do all this physical therapy to regain. They lose a lot of function of their hand and their wrist. And now they've got to look at like, again, for somebody who already deals with mental illness and anxiety and depression and is already sort of struggling, you're adding so much more burden onto these people. So much more burden. Now you've got to go and you've got to do all this post-op care. You got to go back in for appointments. You've got to go for more, treatments. And then you got to do these revision surgeries when it's going to, almost necessarily go wrong. And, Free Willy, female to male phalloplasty, pee update and Packer giveaway. Boy, wonderful. Can I pee? That's not looking too, not what I expected. Phalloplasty. So here's where the titles of the videos start to take an interesting turn, right? Now we're starting to see like where things start to change. Phalloplasty arm update, surgery date, phalloplasty glandsplasty date. I guess what the glandsplasty I think is the putting in the is that the ball implants? Maybe the testicle implants. Put this where? Oh, here we go. Female to male phalloplasty fistula complication update. So she, all right, so she already has fistulas, okay? Packer winner. Good and bad. Transgender military and still having to, again, so many videos about her having to pee, right? Catheter removal. So now she's been stuck with a catheter. Hope this helps. Female to male phalloplasty hand swelling solution and pee updates. Hey, but you know, like, yeah, suicide prevented, right? My scar, female to male phalloplasty and what happened to my arm. My pee tube, female to male phalloplasty pubic catheter. So the catheter is actually not even at the tip of the penis, but it means that when you have to do a pubic catheter, it means that the phallus is so damaged and messed up, and there's probably so many strictures that you can't put it through the opening that's supposed to be the opening to pee, the opening of the urethra at the end of the phallus. They actually had to like stick it like through here to get directly in there because there's so many things going wrong, and they just need to get so that she can urinate, right? I can't imagine how uncomfortable that can become a medical emergency quickly. Yeah, Karen Davis says the obsession of pee. It's a cope because it's like that's like the best they can end up, you know. And it's like imagine like having all these strictures where you can't actually urinate. Like it's scary and painful, and it's like you don't realize. Again, it's like this is where you don't realize how precious your health is until you lose it, right? This is one of those scenarios where it's so easy to take your good health for granted when you're healthy. And then to sacrifice it for what? For what? So you can stand to pee? You're sacrificed. Never again will your body, you know, fully be. You'll always need some sort of medical support. That's so scary to me. That's terrifying. You don't know how precious health is until you begin to lose it. And you gave it up for nothing. It's gone. Let's see what phalloplasty. I'm free. I don't know what it's gone is. Oh wait, ooh, let's see what this was. Hold on, did something happen? Did she have to have one of them removed? This one we gotta see.
Guys, this is an urgent crisis.
Oh, it's probably the catheter. Hold on, I'm gonna grab something.
Hey guys, what's up? So, what you just witnessed, I'm sure you might be grossed out now, and I'm sorry that you had to see that, but that was my first pee with no catheter. I'm officially catheter free, and it feels amazing. I was getting some pain from the catheter after I peed, so now that's gone, and I feel like I can move better. I don't have to worry about taking out this tube out of my abdomen by accident or any sort of pain. So small story. So peeing now is a little different than it was before. You kind of have to like shake it off, you know. Your urethra is lengthened, so it's harder to get all of the liquid out of your urethra before you kind of put it away in your pants. You don't want to dribble in your pants so much, so you have to learn how to milk your penis or phallus just so you don't pee yourself, basically. And a memory pops into my head thinking of like 1995 BD, before Dick, when I was going to the bathroom and my dad taught me how to wipe. And my mom always laughs at him for teaching me this because I don't think he was kind of making differences between him urinating and me urinating at the time. You know, like I said, BV. And let me just show you what he told me to do. So basically, as my dad trying to save money, he told me how to wipe. He thinks I was using too much toilet paper, so he told me to take 1 square toilet paper, fold it in half, and then dab. That does not work if you do not have the right equipment. So, but however, thanks Dad, because this works now. All these years later, yeah, I'm keeping that tip in my back pocket. So, what they did, I've got some gauze covering it right now. Oh. The doctor like taped 8 rolls of tape to me, and it's just pulling. All right. So he said this hole should seal off by tonight. So I just have these gauze on here right now, but no more tube. It's all gone. So that's pretty awesome, and I can't stop smiling. Like even every time I pee, even though it burns, I can't stop smiling.
Even though it burns.
Just to think back of my first time attempting to pee, and just how devastated I was.
This is so sad.
Because it just didn't work. I had a longer process than normal, and I think.
See, now it's like the goalpost shift, right? Before it's like, oh, I want to be able to like, you know, have a functional penis and all this sort of stuff, and then the reality hits, and you realize that you sacrificed so much stuff, and then you're just happy to be able to like regain certain functioning that you already had before. She's so excited that I can finally urinate now without a catheter. Well, sis, you did that perfectly fine without having to go through all this other stuff before you did all this stuff. So what was the point? What was the point? It's so sad. Sorry, I needed snacks. I know people get mad, but I need. Sorry, this is like why I hate having to go back, because then I have to like scroll. I have some other videos on like the actual sexual function that I really want to get to, so I'm trying not to like take too long. But this is important because you just literally can see just in the titles alone how this all goes downhill. Hold on for a second. All right, let's see. Hold on. Okay. Blah 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 blah. Susie Glucksman says this is like a race to the grave while pretending you're not killing yourself. Exactly. This is just like suicide in slow motion, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so wow. Okay, so here's my concern, right? All right, so look again. Phalloplasty arm update. So that's what the arm looks like as it's beginning to heal. It's horrifying. Okay, hope this helps. My scar. That's what the arm looks like. My P tube. Okay, so this is what we just watched. It's gone. I guess she'd had a scar. Okay, so then my leg scar. I'm confused. Why did you get a leg scar too? So did they harvest skin from 2 different places? And you didn't have electrolysis on that. So I don't even want to like go into it again, but still. Female to male phalloplasty is inappropriate, or is it? I don't know. What happened? Female to male phalloplasty back to work in a giveaway. So she's been out of work for how long now? So of course has been out of work for like weeks and weeks. So I'm sorry, but any like real serious career where you have like a bunch of like clients who need just like you're so specialized and good at like and important to your job, where you're working with like you're managing different cases and working directly with different clients. You can't have like a real high performance job and then be doing all of this sort of stuff. you're out of work for weeks at a time. You gotta like, tell everybody what you're doing and force everyone to play along with this whole shtick. And it's just like, it's just so intrusive to their whole lives. Someone said it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Exactly. So now she's had, I guess, skin harvested from her leg and her arm. Oh, here we go. Scarfield. What? My next surgery? What is glandsplasty? I guess, let's see. What is glandsplasty? I think that's the glandsplasty might be having like the testicles. Oh, let me be sure. Glandsplasty is a procedure that creates a corner of the glans penis. I see. So the glandsplasty is basically shaping it, right? So when they first do it, it looks like it's just like a tube, like it's just like a straight tube. Like and for some women who harvest the skin from their thigh, it looks like a Coke bottle. Then they kind of shape it to basically try to like mimic it looking like the head of a real penis. So it doesn't look so like ridiculous and fake. Yes, DG says this is the mushroom tip surgery. Yeah, that's right. Okay, looking back, female to male phalloplasty, the hard times are worth it. Oh, we bet. We bet. It's a way that, again, so there's a phenomenon in psychology where if you had to sacrifice a lot for something and give a lot to something, you'll go through this mental gymnastics to convince yourself that it was all worth it. And you're so glad that you did it. Because again, you have like just for your own sense of self and like sense of like, not getting depressed. It's like, you've got to convince yourself that you suffered and did all that for a real reason. And I've talked about this before. It's the reason why fraternities will haze. It's also the reason why even like first year of like law school is really, really hard, other than weeding people out. But fraternities will haze new admittance. Same thing with gangs. Gangs will sit there and they will brutalize new initiates. Why? Because it makes you more loyal to whatever the organization is. If you had to suffer to join something, if you had to do a lot, same thing with like boot camp for the military. They put you through hell, right? And then they award you, and it's before you even get awarded to be a part of it. So if they make you go through hell to be a part of something, you become more almost like deeply attached and committed to that thing. Because you've got to convince yourself why you had to work so hard and sacrifice so much of what you did to be a part of it. And you'll convince yourself that it was because it was, it's such an important thing to be a part of. Now, something for like being a part of the military, it's like, yeah, no, it is. It is honorable. And it is something that you should be proud of and proud to be a part of. But when it's like a gang or something like this, where there isn't actually like a real correlation between all that you did to yourself and the actual it's like the reality of the thing that you worked so hard and sacrificed so much and went through so much pain for really is not as great as what you believed it was going to be or hoped it was going to be or is supposed to be. Then you got to like manufacture excuses in your mind. It's like, no, I love it. That's why it is so rare to see one of these people, even if they've had the worst of the worst complications, be able to admit that they regret it. It is so rare to find one of these people who are willing to admit that they regret it. That's why the few people who can have the full honesty to be like, this was the worst mistake I ever made. I got nothing out of it. I was a complete fool. Because again, it also means having to admit that no offense, you were so gullible and so like non-critical and had such poor critical thinking skills that you went along with something this insane, right? No. But for some people that is so painful and so difficult to do. They'll go through like just this total mental gymnastics to convince themselves that it was worth it. All right, so looking back again, so we're starting to see a lot of the regret is setting in. Female to male phallus should have listened to your internal alarm when it was telling you to stop. Female to male phalloplasty. The hard times are worth it. What now? Female to male, life after surgery. Female to male, what I wish I knew before. Weight loss, hormones, phalloplasty. I want to help. Female to male, my concerns about promoting fitness. After you've spent like a whole year of nonstop promoting fitness. Ready for surgery. Female to male, so glandsplasty. Okay, so another I think there's like 4 or 5 different stages of these things, like minimum. It's like how much time is off of work, and I'm sure a lot of people get addicted. Exolantic brings this up a lot about, but now it's like people who are already depressed and already have a history of fixating on things. Now we're pumping them full of morphine and giving them these very strong narcotic pain medications and opiate pain medications, and they're having surgery after surgery. This is totally a pipeline to getting addicted. Susie Glucksman says this is just an addiction that instead of telling them they have a problem, doctors encourage it. And it's totally a way to just not like function in the world, right? It's like it's such an excuse to not have to like show up in the world or take on like real responsibilities. It's like, oh, I have this huge problem because I'm trans and it's this rare condition and I've got to do all these surgeries, and so I have to or else I'll die. So, I can't be expected to like really function, I've got to do these surgeries. Like, and Natalie Vu, you underestimate how long I can fucking talk for. It's like, thank God my boyfriend is like very quiet. Like, we're like insane polar opposites, which I actually kind of appreciate because then I don't have to like listen to him yap like in the car, which I always end up with the most quiet people, and maybe it's because I never shut the fuck up, but man, yeah, I can do like a 4-hour stream and I don't shut up once. It's like, here we go. I'm alive. Female to male phalloplasty, glandsplasty, 1-day post-op. What's going on? Did I make the right decision? Here it goes. Here we go. Here comes the regret. Let's see. The next steps. Female to male phalloplasty stricture, update and rant. Another surgery. Female to male phalloplasty, unexpected surgery day. Post-op blues, female to male phalloplasty. I panicked. I feel bad. I need to clear the air. I didn't know. Stricture symptoms and comparison. Again, I didn't know that stricture was almost guaranteed to happen. And it's like, that's the thing, like all of these complications are so common that they're virtually like to be expected, right? It's rare if you don't have to go through them. So they should just be like, yeah, you're almost guaranteed to get a stricture. And a stricture is basically when the urethra that they create through, they take a thin flap of skin and roll it up and they elongate the urethra. And this is one of the processes that is so responsible for so many of the complications with phalloplasty. And a stricture is when the scar tissue, it can scar and then it can kind of like basically close. It's such a small, tiny tube. It can cause a tightening in a part of the tube. And that's obviously bad because you need it to be open so that you can urinate. Another problem is that the lining of our urethra is a special type of skin tissue that is specially designed to be able to withstand the highly acidic nature of urine, right? You gotta remember, urine is highly acidic. Like if you, like dog pee, if your dog pees in your yard, what happens? Patches of your grass will die, right? That's why it's like, sometimes my cat would like pee in my garden or get mad because it would kill my plants. Or other animals, it'll die because urine is so acidic. So the lining of our urethra is designed so as to be able to withstand constant exposure to not only moisture, constant moisture, but also highly acidic moisture. Now, there's nowhere else in our body is there that exact type of skin, right? Except I don't know if like maybe the inside our mouth or something is similar. I'm not sure. So the skin that they use to elongate and synthesize a urethra is not that sort of skin. It is not skin that is designed to be exposed to constant moisture and highly acidic moisture. So commonly it breaks down because it's not meant to do what we're trying to force it to do. So when you constantly are passing urine through it, over time it literally starts to disintegrate, right? So yeah, it's like, let's see. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Scott. Scott says, I can listen to you for hours. You make perfect sense when you speak. I think of Isaac Butterfield. Thank you. I can't follow him for more than 30 seconds. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Yeah, someone said that I repeat myself too much. And like, I hear that. I do know that I do repeat, and I'll like drill the like point home, I think, too much. And maybe the reason I do that is because I feel like I have such a history of saying things and then have people either like misunderstand me or like later misrepresent what I said. And I'm like, fuck, like, no, that's not what I said. And let me clarify. And sometimes I feel like Karen mentioned this. She like, as a teacher, you learn that you have to like repeat stuff like 7 billion times, you know? And that's how I feel. Sometimes I feel like I've got to like, just like beat you guys down with the point. But I am trying to be like a little bit more conscious of that. All right, so stricture return, post-op depression, 2 weeks post-op urethroplasty, and back to work. This is sad. This poor girl is not getting the help she needs. Clearly has a lot of like mental issues, and rather than getting her, you know, one thing that all of this does is that it prevents them from identifying and getting her the help that she actually needs. No, but instead we're charging up her her medical insurance hundreds of thousands of dollars. The phalloplasty costs upwards of $200,000, and that, you know, and that can be way more depending on how many complications you have and how many revision surgeries are needed. Right? So they're spending all of this money on this nonsensical procedure that the only people who are benefiting from are these physicians. The only person who benefits from phalloplasty is a physician, period. Nobody else benefits. The person is harmed, the patient is harmed, and, you know, the insurance company ends up having to blow all this money on these nonsense procedures that then the person, you know, the person is going to need all of this other revision and all this other stuff, and they're going to be like, get drained. So then the rest of us who are all paying into the same pot, you know, and it's supposed to be there to protect all of us so that when we need it, we're going to get denied stuff that we actually need, right? Because they're just paying out. They're being forced to pay out, you know, insane amounts of money. Meanwhile, people who have cancer are having to mortgage their house to pay for all of their cancer treatment. Meanwhile, women with diastasis recti can't get that get that corrected because it's a cosmetic surgery, right? Like, meanwhile, you know, again, we could pay for male inmates to get breast implants, but what about women who have like, you know, like hypo, you know, breast tissue, and they're insecure about it, right? Not saying that like they should all be getting breast implants, but I'm just saying it's like there are so many other issues and things. How about paying for people to get massages? I need a massage so bad. It's 50 fucking bucks. Can't you guys fucking pay for me to get a massage? Like what? Like once a month, once every 2 months? That would really, Max, you better not pee in my room. You got me effed up. I see what you're doing. And somebody caught you peeing in the room when I was talking at one of the times. Right? And it's like, again, if we didn't have such like a sick, you know, based model of care. So anyway, workouts coming out. Arm update. Hold on for a second. Yeah. Arm update. Be prepared. And see, like these are getting sadder and sadder again. Female to male phalloplasties, things I wish I would have prepared for. Leg update. It's not easy. My struggle with anxiety. Like, why? Maybe let's start there first. Let's address like the anxiety and depression first, right? I'm a creeper. Female to male phalloplasty, embarrassing hospital moments, pee updates. Like you could not pay me to put this sort of stuff on the internet. My appointment, female to male phalloplasty. Like, this is real sexy, guys, right? And I'm sorry, all genital surgery is rooted in sexuality to some extent, right? Some kind of, it's like, for example, some women will transition because of trauma and they want to de-sex their bodies. So that's why they have their breasts removed. They might have hysterectomies. They might have, vaginectomies. But if you're going to go and have stuff added, stuff like a phalloplasty, that's all based in sexuality in some way. It's supposed to, and you can't tell me otherwise. These are sex organs. Of course it has something to do with sex. Like to pretend like they're like somehow not related is so absurd and insane. So it's like, if this is about enhancing your sex life to some extent, I'm sorry, how is any of this sexy? You can't pee, you've got strictures, you've got catheters, you're gonna have to have, like a colostomy bag, you've got all these issues, it's floppy, it's necrotic, it smells bad, it's oozing, it's got scar tissue. So how is this making your sex life or your sexuality improved? Please help me understand. Let's see. Yeah, Carol John says, I've been wanting to get an at-home hot stone massage kit for just this reason. Just pay, please, God. There is a Chinese massage parlor down the road. It's $50. Like, to my insurance. How about we stop doing the glandsplasty and metoidioplasty and all this stuff, and how about you just get everyone massages, okay? I think we would all be doing a lot better. Just get us massages and let's go from there. My appointment. Bathroom anxiety. Female to male phalloplasty using public restrooms. Post-op. I was nervous trying it out. I'm taking medication. I did it. My first day back. Oh, another first day back at work. 5 months phalloplasty. Oh, she looks so happy. Man, this is a 5-month post-op. She looks joyful. Joyful. Life saved. This is amazing. Looks so happy. Karen Davis says it's a way of de-sexing themselves completely to make sure no one ever wants to have sex with them again, ever. No, and I totally agree with you. And I feel like that's the case for especially women who are taking everything off and maybe taking testosterone or whatever for some women. But again, if you're getting a phalloplasty and adding a penis on, gee. Gee. Question. All right. Passing. What if I fail? Are we dating? Female to male Thanksgiving Day vlog. Ooh. Oh, so now she's dating women? Oh, so maybe she was always, that could be a thing. Maybe she was kind of pushed into a heteronormative life before because she's super religious and had to wait to have sex to get married, so went and married a man, and that was probably really traumatic for her. Now she's dating women, unless this is a Tim, right? But that could be a thing. Maybe she was a lesbian who, because of her religious upbringing, was kind of forced into a heterosexual relationship that was traumatic and gross for her. Yeah, I don't know. Let's quick check. I'm here, I'm going to open it in a separate tab so that way I don't have to keep going back and forth. Yeah, I don't know. Is it a Tim? I don't know. See, now they can be heteronormative. She doesn't have to be a lesbian, She doesn't have to be she doesn't have to be a gay man. Maybe that's what it's all about. It's what is it? That's so weird. Yeah, let's find out. I'm nosy.
Along with. Hey guys, what's up? So today is Thanksgiving, and I just thought I would take
Look how
you
much she has
along with
aged.
me, throughout my day.
Testosterone must be so hard on you. Look how much she has aged. And I know it makes their skin harsher, I guess, because women have like softer skin.
Hey, this is not a full day of eating video, although there is food included. I don't know. I just wanted to spend Thanksgiving with you, I guess. So I just ate breakfast and did some studying, and now I'm going to go on a run because I just.
Yeah, come on, let's get to the goods.
All right, so I'm now
You know
all
why we're
showered up.
here.
Post
Stop playing games. Oh, here we go.
people out.
Hi, people.
Hi, YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
No, she looks like a woman. She's
Oh.
cute.
Hi.
Say
Nice to
hi.
see you. Oh, hi.
What you want? This is Irina. She just likes to be held.
Yeah, she looks like a
Oh,
woman.
this is Morgan. Hi, Morgan. Who's that? Oh. Okay, hi. This is Jeff.
Come on, we want the details. Stop
Hi,
playing with
YouTube.
us.
Hi, YouTube.
Oh.
Hi.
That's
Okay.
probably a lot of what this is.
He loves the potato.
Rex Landy says rat dogs are not penises. Ew, rat dog. It was so gross. Oh god, there was that one rumor where the one pooner that I covered who had the baby or whatever, people were saying that like she had gotten phalloplasty, and they're like, yeah, her rat dog exploded when she. People were like, did you hear what happened to her? They're like, when she went into labor, her rat dog exploded. And while she was trying to push it, it was like real disgusting. Apparently, it's like not what happened because she never had phalloplasty, but it was. It was like the way people said it was so gross. It was so fucking gross. Like, ew. Ew. Like, I just imagine like pus and like goop like everywhere, and it stinks. Like, ew, ew. Ew. Why would you do this to yourself? It's like let me be as sexually unappealing as humanly possible to literally anybody. Bro, I would never, as a like, I'm like a bisexual woman, and I like, has sex with men. If anybody pulled one of these things out on me and was like, yeah, here, baby, I'd be like, oh, sweetheart. First of all, I am so sorry you did that to yourself, but get that away from me. Never would I put that in my vagina. Are you crazy? Like, I don't want to get like the bubonic plague. Like, that is a no. It's a no from me, dog. Like, oh, we wanted to hear about the girl. Oh, here we go.
As you may have wondered, I am spending this Thanksgiving with my girlfriend, which happens to be Alice. That is why I'm here. And
No, she's
we
cute.
have a history, like a 3-year-long history. So we've known each other for a while. So this seems
Sort of
kind of
since 2012.
yeah. So this means
But like,
this might
ew,
seem
does she handle it? Ew. What does she like jerk it off? Like, what do you do with it? Like, oh yeah, babe. Like, the thing that is like the reason why it's fun to play with a guy's dick, and like not to be TMI, but it's like it's fun to give other people pleasure, which is why I never understand these like loser men who don't make sure that their like girlfriend or their wife orgasms. It's like, how lame do you have to be? It's like part of receiving pleasure is giving pleasure, right? It's like fun to see, like to get your like person off. And it's like knowing that they can't feel it. You're like, yeah, it's like the whole thing with like when like girls try to get you to like deep throat like a strap on. You're like, bro, I'm not doing this. Like, for what? This is dumb. Like, it's just some like, what, did you see this in like a porn or something? And like we're just gonna act out like these like degrading like tropes for no reason. Like, I'm cool. Like, you can't feel it. Like, let's stop playing games. But like same thing. It's like, whoa, yeah, baby. Like, you feel that? Like, are you gonna come? Like, what do you say? Like, how? Like, can I just not touch it? Can I just not touch it? Can we like tape it up somewhere? Or can I just get out of here? Can I just leave? I'm sorry, I gotta go. Like, before I fucking vomit. Come on.
kind of sudden, but it's actually not at all. So, yeah. So yes, I am no longer single and I'm in a relationship.
Sorry.
Everyone's
He's
like-
mine.
So anyway, we wanted to cheers to new chapters. So basically, we're like putting our past aside and starting fresh. And yeah, so to new chapters.
All right, she's cute, and it's like you could have done all of this without self-harming. You could have gotten her without self-harming. I'm sure she wasn't like, "Ooh, you got fallow? Oh yeah, baby, I'm in." Like I'm sure it wasn't like fallow that was like the big. She's dating you in spite of the fallow. Dude, like let me be so fucking for real. Unless she's like that big of a libtard that she's dating you for the like points of being like I'm so open-minded that I'm like I'm taking this seriously and I'm actually putting this thing inside of my vagina. I'm that big of a libtard, and it is so important for me to virtue signal that I'm actually risking infection and just grossness and destroying my microbiome of my vagina and my cervix and my uterus to put this thing inside of me. Like, no, thank you. All right, anyway, she's cute. Could have done it without all this crap. And I'm probably, like I said, just virtue signaling. And then my question is, too, and I said this and people get mad, but sorry, I've noticed it. I've seen, not everybody, make that caveat a million times, but I've seen quite a few examples now where people's sexual targets seems to invert once they get on sex hormones, and that's not that ridiculous of a thing to think, because again, that's why when we go through puberty, we go from being like non-sexual as children to all of a sudden we go through puberty, which is really the only thing that changes is the activation of our sex hormones, to now we're really horny and now we're noticing people that we're attracted to and we start to have all this sexual attraction that we never experienced before. So if you're going and you're literally inverting your hormones, your sex hormones, for some people, I've seen a pattern where it seems like their sexuality inverts. Even Dylan Mulvaney, who has been again a high effeminate gay man, pretty much his whole life, was like a Broadway gay, took testosterone, got on estrogen, and then after like a year, however many months in, a year in, he's like, for the first time I've actually had some sexual attraction to women. I told my mom that, and they were like, whoa, surprised. Look at Buck Angel, was a lesbian her whole life, got on testosterone and started having sex with men. Now, was she always bisexual? I don't know. Or was she a bisexual? Like, was she like a what's it called? A femme, where she was always like a bisexual woman who preferred women and then switched. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. And people get so upset about like the implications and what that could mean and all this sort of stuff and what it means for born this way and all this sort of shit. You know what? All I can say is I don't think we know enough about sexuality or how or why it works. We can't sit there and say that pornography has an impact on sexuality and then act like it's insane that, abusing cross-sex hormones could also have an impact on sexuality. So it's either the case that she was she's either bisexual or she was always a lesbian and kind of forced into a heteronormative situation, and that was traumatic for her. And now because she's like very religious and maybe has a lot of internalized homophobia, now she felt like she had to go and become a man so that she could actually go and be with who she wanted to be, which was women, right? Or a third possible option, I'm just saying I don't know, but it's something that we should explore, could be that she gets on cross-sex hormones and her sexuality either inverts, or if she was always bisexual, her focus switched. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just saying that it's a pattern that I've noticed with a few people, actually. A few people who have talked about it. So anyway, people get emotional, just so emotional about certain stuff. And it's that's going to turn into conversion therapy. I understand those concerns. right? I understand that they could be, you know, abused as a thing for, but I'm not going to be the only one who's going to notice that that's a thing. And also, to me, trying to apply conversion therapy on lesbians is the most fucking retarded thing I could possibly think of. Lesbians, as far as I'm concerned, are so good for society. So anybody who wants to like get rid of them makes no sense, okay? It's like lesbians, like, God, and like, I know people might get offended at this too, but there's a lot of situations where like bisexual women who have been like originally partnered with men or maybe even had children with men who then are like, you know, got like really abused or traumatized by men and then go and pursue having only relationships with women. And it's like having, you know, lesbians there to like fucking whatever, you know, and then they can have like whatever. It's like a refuge from like, you know, these fucking male violence. And then also it's like lesbians were always the one because it's a non-reproductive sexuality, and especially prior to things like artificial reproductive stuff, you know, lesbians were not having children, and that's the reason why they were able to spearhead these critical movements like you know, these feminist movements, radical feminism. All lesbians were always ahead of the curve on fighting for women's rights. Always. They've always been the one, you know, because when other women were at home, you know, again, we gotta remember birth control was only available like from the 60s on. Okay, so up until then, for all of human history, we didn't have access to stuff like that. We had to use other methods to not get pregnant. And most women were having children, right? So it's like most women were having like babies after babies and were home and parenting and breastfeeding and taking care of kids, didn't have the freedom to go out and start these critical movements and fight for our rights. Who was doing it? Lesbians were doing it. Who were the ones who were like really gatekeeping female only spaces? Lesbians. Lesbians were the one, you know, the dykes, right? Dykes. Where does that term even come from? A dyke comes from a water dyke. It's a thing that doesn't let water pass, right? It's the idea that dykes don't let men pass. They do that not just for their own sexuality, but they do that for women in general. They create spaces for women in general. It was radical feminist lesbians who created the first like rape crisis centers. You know, separatist spaces that have always been protective of women. You know, and if you care about your daughters, you should be fucking grateful that there are lesbians who exist and who fucking hold that line and who have always held that line. Also, it's like what are like the rate of STDs amongst lesbians is like non-existent. So it's like they're not contributing to you know, a whole, you know, public crisis. You know what I mean? It's like honestly, it's probably the safest sexuality that exists. And, you know, and it's like I always hear this like thing where like, oh, there's a lot of violence amongst like lesbians, and I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm sure that there are, but I also think it's probably like a very different type, right? Like we see it different than, you know, whatever. And I'm sure now we see a bunch of lesbians who I think are abusing testosterone, even the ones who don't identify as men. I do think that there's a lot of issues of like these like butch lesbians who are abusing like anabolic steroids and stuff like that to get like jacked and all this sort of stuff. So that could be part of the reason why some are getting like aggressive. I don't know, fucking whatever, okay? But it's like, get mad, I don't care. Like trying to like erase lesbians is retarded. It makes like literally no fucking sense. Okay, anyway, let's see. My favorite undies. Yeah, I know. What is like bird? And also it's the same thing. It's like, you know, there's other issues where it's like I think it's like they say, I think it's like, I don't know, there's in like some monkey species where it's like if a female monkey loses her male partner, she doesn't want to have more children. She doesn't want to have more babies because she already has a lot of babies. She'll romantically partner with another female, and they'll work together to raise the babies. And they will still like engage with each other, like, you know, like sexually for pleasure and stuff like that, and be seen like grooming each other and like licking each other, whatever the case may be, right? So it's like, you know, that's a benefit. Same thing again with like bisexual women who already have children that they're like struggling to take care of, and they're bisexual, and maybe they were with men and then they end up, you know, only partnering with women after that because again, it's a non-reproductive, sexuality, and then they don't have to worry about, more accidental pregnancies and all this sort of stuff, and they can create like safe stability for them and their kid, fucking whatever. All right, whatever. You guys can get mad, I don't care. Anyway, let's see. This happened. Hold on, I gotta let my dog in. Wait here, let's get MRI results. Did I pass? Change of plans. More phalloplasty? Phalloplasty waiting game. Female to male. I will die female. Wait, hold on. Let's see what this is. Ew. No, there are some asshole lesbians. Don't get me wrong.
Hey guys, what's up? So I just want to update you on a little bit of change of plans and doctor's appointments. I saw Dr. Chen yesterday, so I just want to update you on that. I saw my orthopedic yesterday, so I want to update you on that as well. And the biggest thing to update is the fact that I thought I was having knee surgery on the 29th. That's kind of up in the air now. And also, I'm having a bigger knee surgery than I thought. The last time I talked about this, I was only going for the knee scope, but after more research and more thought, replacement, and I could remain active and those sorts of things.
So
but
many
then to find
surgeries.
out today, he actually won't be performing my surgery because he's in active duty military and he's leaving soon. And he won't be around for my full recovery, so just in case I have any complications, they're concerned, and they're going to pass me on to a different doctor. The problem is they're not sure if this doctor is comfortable with this procedure, so I won't find out till Wednesday.
See, and that's the thing. This is another big problem. If they end up losing access to their doctor, or say their doctor botches their stuff, a lot of doctors won't touch what another doctor did because there is no standard in care for these surgeries. A lot of these doctors are coming up with their own like methodology and stuff, and it can be really hard for another doctor to either replicate or work within that methodology. And a lot of times they don't want to touch it. That's why, like Shapeshifter talked about having such a difficult time finding anybody who would work on him or help him, because they're like, no, we don't want to. I don't want to. Because the thing is, then they end up becoming liable for any complications that happen, even if they stemmed from the original surgery. So Mended Trainee says LGBT relationships had the highest rates of domestic violence, but again, people always say that about lesbians and stuff, but it's also, that doesn't take into account types of domestic, but Max, I'm telling you, you better not play with me, okay? Do not pee in my room. It's the same thing where they say, like, technically, roughly, males and females commit virtually, like, almost similar rates of domestic violence. So you're like, oh, see, men aren't abusing women more than, that much more than women are abusing them. But then once you get into the type of violence, then the real picture comes into play, right? Male violence is typically escalating in severity. It's typically, and it's less likely to be provoked from initial acts of female violence, whereas female violence against men is typically preceded by male violence first. So men typically initiate it at some point. Female violence is typically not escalating in nature or severity, and typically stops once whatever the problematic behavior of the male or whatever stops. So a lot of times it's more likely to be responsive, it's less likely to be fatal, and it's less likely to be severe and to result in a hospitalization. Whereas male violence against women is escalating, typically not provoked, and more likely to be fatal or to result in a hospitalization. So once we then start looking, then we start to see where the real disparities are, right? Like, because again, if you're concerned, if you're going to equate shoving somebody and add that into, the statistics of domestic violence, she shoved me, and we're going to put that in the same statistical pot as a man who shot his wife in the face, right? Those are still two very different things, but they're still technically, examples of domestic violence, right? So that's kind of, yeah. Hey, Dragon. Anyway.
If this other doctor will be performing my surgery.
Yeah, what a mess. What a mess. Fuck, I keep doing this. I shouldn't have done that. All right, hold on, because I really want to get to some of these other ones about of these women talking about their sexual functioning, which is really quick. It like gets worse and worse and worse. Hold on. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Exact. Peach says, yeah, and an unequal, a slap. Yeah, what? Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Are we dating? Let's see. My favorite undies. This happened. Let's see. Hold on. That was awkward. Female to male. Ooh, phalloplasty. Oh God, I like want to click on all these. Female to male phalloplasty can complicate things. And did I pass? Today was an emotional roller coaster. Bring on oh my ew. Sorry, but look. Hold on. Ew. Okay, I'm sorry as like the proud owner of like a pet man, aka I have a boyfriend. I can tell you that's not what he looks like in his underwear. And he is well endowed, and it is not what a man looks like. It isn't like what this is not how that looks. But that's again because male penises actually are they're living, they're alive, they're organs that respond to the world around them, right? They shrink up, when they're cold, they got to shrink. The reason why the testicles are outside of the body is so that the scrotal sac has control over the temperature of the testicles. So when they're cold, they shrink them close to the body to keep them warmer. When they're too hot, because they have to be cold, they have to be kept at like a cooler temperature so that it doesn't create, like, it's not like a spermicide, so it doesn't kill off the sperm. So then when it's too hot, they drop a little bit, right? So it's like, same penis will shrink, and then it moves, it's very alive, and that's something that you're not going to get with this thing. Lost years, let's see. Yes, my pet man. I have one of my very own little flesh. Why is it pointy? I don't know. I don't know. My arm. Jesus Christ, how I feel about my so sad. More surgery. Boy, this is fun, isn't it? Years now of surgery. FTM, phalloplasty, scar revision, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm done. Do they miss? All right, toxic, female to male fitness and toxic masculine, bro. Shut up. It's like the same thing with like the trans misogyny. I remember, who was it? It was like, I was talking to this one, I used to talk to this one female to male to female detransitioner, like, so an ex-trans identifying female. She was like, yeah, bro, I think like one of the, like, when I really realized how like ridiculous it was dealing with the trans identifying males. And then she was like, she said this dude who's like 6'3", huge, like just like colossal man, who was so obnoxious and controlling, once accused me, and this girl was like 5'2" and weighed like 98 pounds. It was like this teeny little, Twinkie. She was like, yeah, this dude like accused me of toxic masculinity and of mansplaining, and said that I needed to listen to women more and I was a misogynist. And then everybody agreed and like ganged up on me. She's like, yeah, this is when I was like, I'm out. Like, this is so dumb and doesn't make any sense. Thimble Fox says, is it really worth it to throw your entire health in the garbage so that you can grow a medium amount of muscle? Yeah, exactly. Like, exactly. Ew, new favorite. Ew. It's just a way to show this thing off. Ew. It's like, it doesn't do anything. The part of it, like the thing is, and anybody who has sex with men, any female who has vaginal like penetration with a man, it's like, that like you can feel it, when it's like, yeah, it's in you. And oh God, I gotta hurry up. All right, it gets really bad. Shit. Shit. My kids are gonna be home soonish. All right. Hold on. Here we go. Fuck. Okay. All right. Sorry, we gotta switch. Let's go to this guy. Fuck, I didn't realize what time it was.
So I just want to give a quick update on how everything is going. I am 9 months post-op and semi-rigid rod. And
Okay, so
also,
this
just so you guys
woman
know,
has something
I'm-
called a semi-rigid rod, where basically she's pretty much hard, like semi-hard all the time. So let's hear.
You're talking about certain things that are probably inappropriate for certain audiences. So
Sorry if you can't hear it. They're so low.
if you're watching this, you should be over 18, and if you're not, please get your parents' permission. So
She's a lot less delusional. They're all delusional, but yeah, I feel like she's a little bit less delusional, but it's bad.
so far, the way
I feel
it's,
bad for her.
Been since I had this surgery, I'm to the point where like now like fully healed. I can do everything. It doesn't bother me with exercise. I can do every exercise. I am able to let's see, I can do everything. I can run, jump, lift weights, whatever, and no issues there. I don't have any pain in any way. Sometimes when I sleep, I have to move it a certain way if I sleep on my stomach, because it like might poke or something. So you just have to like move direction. But it's not.
So apparently this rod implant that she's talking about has some of the highest rates of, I think it has like upwards of like 75% complication rate. And the two like most common complications with this thing is either the body draws it back into the body or begins to expel it forward out of the body. And it's like, or it'll partially draw it back. So it's like, it's oh god. And there's these two. It's either so she got the one that just kind of always stays a little bit hard, right? Then there's another one that is actually inflatable, and they add in the testicles, the ball implants. They make it as like a pump. So you got to pump it up. You got to squeeze the testicle, the fake testicle implant, and it blows up the rod. Ew. Ew. And then that's how you use it. And it's like most of them, the thing is, if it's not telling, I literally went on Pornhub and spent like an hour trying my best to search and find any pornography that featured someone actually utilizing a phalloplasty, for research purposes, obviously. I don't want to see this thing. And the only thing that I could find was metoidioplasty, which is, again, it's basically like pulling out like the clitoris, and then like, it becomes like a micro penis. So they kind of are able to penetrate a little bit, like very shallow. But the reason why a lot of people opt for the phalloplasty is because it's like technically bigger, but you can't do anything with it. So if it doesn't tell you something that somebody hasn't found a way to profit off of, female to male post-op phalloplasty pornography, then that should tell you a lot of how much these things do nothing, right? I couldn't find not even one, right? I would have to go back and see if that's changed at all, because I think it was like last year that I was looking for some kind of example. There isn't one. I found a metoidioplasty one where her whole thing was she wasn't even having sex with women. She was just showing herself basically like penetrating like a pocket put, like a silicone mold of a vagina, and just holding it and like masturbating with it basically, and like penetrating this thing. It was, oh god, it was bad. It was really bad.
Not a big deal. As far as my career goes, sometimes that ends up, I guess this depends on what your career is, but me personally, I'm about to graduate with or as a chiropractor, and so sometimes I have to place patients' legs in between mine to do certain adjustments, and so that is just something that I guess sometimes I get scared that the patient might feel it, since it's always hard, right? Because it's semi-rigid, so it's always hard.
So because she works for a chiropractor, and anyone who's ever been to a chiropractor, sometimes they have to like straddle you, sort of like stand over top of you so they can really get in and like readjust you. And she's saying that she gets worried that because she's always semi-hard, that someone's going to feel that she's like hard, pretty much. It's so embarrassing and just bizarre.
And so that's just something that I have to, deal with here and there. Nobody's ever told me anything, um, thankfully. But yeah, so that is something that I just think about. But if you don't have a career like that, then it doesn't even matter. You can't really like notice or anything like through clothes and stuff. It looks really well. It looks really good. Yeah, it just looks normal with underwear too. It looks really good.
I bet.
So now getting into the sex part. So talking about having sex with a person with a
Oh, damn it. I didn't mean to do that.
These are-
Sorry. Yeah. This is a lesbian, right? Or a bisexual woman who predominantly
you can't really like
has sex with women.
notice or anything.
So yeah, this is a woman who has sex with women.
Talking about having sex with a person with a vagina. When I feel like penetration, it works totally great.
I need a chiropractor.
I would, yeah, it works normal like if a cisgendered male.
They have such a hard time saying that. It works just as good as like a cisgendered male. Cis, I am 1000% sure that is not true. Again, a man who you have sex with a man, you can like feel that he's like responding to you, right? It's like it's a living organ that's responsive to the way you move. It's responsive to, it can like it like flexes, it moves, it's there's some control there, like they can have some control over it because men can feel it, right? So men knows what feels good, and luckily the way that our bodies are designed, so beautifully designed, is that like usually where it feels good for them feels good for us, right? And it's like so sad. And unfortunately, when you're just sticking it in somebody and you don't have any sensation, you don't really know what you're trying to do with it, right? You're just trying to hope that like, and see how they're reacting. And as a woman, part of what's enjoyable is the fact that I know that it's enjoyable for both of us, right? And like I understand that like some people have sex with like dildos and things like that, or strap-ons, and like maybe that's different, but it's like I've had sex with women. And honestly, like the best sort of like sex aid in that way, like if you are going to have a strap on, is the one that goes inside both of you at the same time, or the one that like, if she wears it, it like also has a component inside of her. So she's feeling it too, where it's not just like a one-way thing, right? And it's like, you're never gonna like that. No, it's not the same.
I was penetrating, like it's literally the same thing, no difference there. Only thing is like when you're, or at least for me, when I'm lying down, and like it doesn't just like stay up. Even if you move it, you have to like hold it up because the weight of the phallus, right? It's like if it's a lot, like it's just gonna go down. So you have to hold it up. But I'm able to do any position with it. And then I would just, the only thing is, I haven't had success with anal. So.
No, I think strap-ons are not my cup of tea either. And I just know that different people have different sex in different ways and whatever. To me, it felt like borderline troony. It kind of felt like, are we pretending that this is a penis? Like if I'm having sex with a woman, then you should be having sex with a woman. If we're gonna like pretend that you have a penis, like why not just, I don't know. But I mean that's a whole different thing. But I've heard of like women, or I've even like been around women who like try to like make you like act like it's like a real penis and like tell you like, yeah, like deep throated and stuff. And you're like, bro, what? For what? Like what the fuck? Why? Is that you don't feel it? Hello? I can understand why a dude wants you to deep throat him, because he can feel it. But why? I'm not sticking this thing down my throat just so we can like pretend. Come on, bro.
if that's something that's important to you, just be aware of that. Talk to your doctor about that if that is something that you, that's super important to you, because I haven't been able to.
Well, the only reason though, like, so Glasscat says it's weird when it's made to look like a penis, not weird when it's just an object for penetration because it feels good. Like, no, I feel you. Listen, I feel you, okay? And I don't, it's not like, I just don't like when there's like, becomes this like behavior of we've got to pretend like it's a real penis. I think the only reason why the penis shape does actually make sense is because penises are literally shaped for like pleasure. You know what I mean? Like that whole like the mushroom tip and stuff, like all of that is like related to like hitting your G spot and stuff. And I have felt dildos that have no shape that are just round and they don't hit the same as the ones that are actually like shaped to be like a penis. But it just goes to show how like perfectly designed our bodies are. You know what I mean? Our bodies are designed to fit in with each other and things like that. And it's like, you know, there's just, there's certain aspects of it that they're not going to be able to just simulate, you know, just so that they can try to simulate having heterosexual sex. And I'm not even just talking about like whatever. People want to use like mutual dildos and things like that. And you want to be close to the person you love. Like that's all good. You know, I've done it before, right? And it's enjoyable. I just don't like being told to deep throat something that like bro, that's not benefiting either of us. Like, no sense, no thanks. But like, you know, not that I don't deep throat real dick. That makes more sense to me. Cause I'm like, yeah, okay. Somebody's benefiting off this, you know? But no, I'm not doing it with a fucking strap on, bro. Like, come on, dog. Anyway, getting a little TMI, but
I sometimes get scared that the semi-rigid rod might break or something. So I just wanted to throw that out there because like I said, these are important things that, you know, everybody should know, especially people who are going to get this surgery. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like for the most part, I don't really have, like I said, I don't have any issues. I don't regret it at all.
I don't regret it at all. It's like always the like obligatory, like, I don't regret it at all. It's totally, yeah. I just gave you a whole laundry list exposing the absolute horror of doing this, but I don't regret it. I love it. My surgery's phenomenal. Shout out to him. I would do it again. I think you should do it. We should all do it. Everyone should do it. Doesn't matter who you are. Let's all get them, you know. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're really making a good case for that, miss.
I don't have any issues as far as, like I said, sex is normal.
Sex is normal.
It looks good. I can urinate normal. But anyways, like always, just send me an email. I always respond to those. And I hope this helped somebody out there.
Gross. That was super gross. All right, there's some more. Here we go. Oh, this one talks about the sensation a little bit.
Hi everyone.
I wish they would stop whispering.
Quick update.
Why are all of these trans men so like meek and like, you know, and like shy and like, you know, like scared. They're like mousy. Like, bro, like if you're gonna like talk, come on, like tighten up. Look in the mirror. You know, look into this thing. You know what I mean? Like, say it with your chest. Say it so that we can like hear what you're saying.
Thing is going. And so far I'm officially done, 100% done with all of surgeries. I don't have any more surgeries. I'm 100% done. Fingers crossed. And I recently just got done with semi-rigid rod surgery, and I am 10 weeks post-op. And so as far as the semi-rigid...
Right now says... because they're so scared of life, they needed to create an avatar to get through it. Well said. Totally true. Susie Glucksman says, why do trans men act like women? It's a mystery. Yeah.
rigid rod that so far, so I have been able to use it, my phallus. It works. It works. So
It
That's the
works.
most important thing. It does.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Again, when they say it works or I can feel it, they're talking about it just scraped across the bare minimum, like the bare minimum bar for even being able to like truthfully say that. So it works means that she was probably like able to physically insert it into somebody. Now, tell me, were you able to like, have sex with that woman into climax, sir? I mean, miss, miss. Were you able to like pick her up and like, you know what I mean? Like, were we really able to work with this thing? Was she able to fucking get on top and like flip around and do all kinds of shit? Or is it like you had to, like, everybody had to sit there like real rigid and like, okay, is it in? I think it's in. Okay, just don't move. We don't want to be too aggressive. We don't want it to fall off. Bro, hello? There's at least 4 or 5 of them who all say that a big concern of theirs is it falling off mid-sex. Like, I don't want to be too rough because I don't want it to break off. I can assure you I've never had that concern with my boyfriend. I've never been like, hey, let's slow down. We don't want to, like, rip it off. Whoa, don't go too crazy. I'd be like, my boyfriend be like, hey, like, slow down. It might fall off. I don't want it to, like, break off inside of you and then we have to, like, fish it out. It's not, like, typically a concern that we have, but, like, I feel you. I guess, ew. Yeah, no, they talk about it falling. Like, a few of them have talked about, like, that being, like, a chief concern of them with, like, having sex about, like, it, like, falling off or, like, getting ripped off. Yeah, super relatable. Yeah, hey, dude, and any men in the chat, has that been like a concern for you? Have you ever like had to like deal with like, your dick getting ripped off inside of somebody? Come on.
That's what it's supposed to do. I'm very happy. I wouldn't change anything about it. I'm able to finish. I am able to.
I'm able to finish.
Penetrate pretty much.
You're able to finish. I know a lot of women have trained themselves to like fake orgasms, and that's another thing. Stop doing it. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to fake orgasms, never again. I haven't faked an orgasm in years. Why? Because all it does, it's just like communicating that, like, again, that he's doing something that he didn't actually do. And if he's not getting you off, then that's something that you guys need to figure out and work together so that you can, right? Your pleasure matters too. Like, why? So we're more worried about him, like his ego, than your actual pleasure. That's a sad thing. If his ego is more important in the relationship for both of you than your actual pleasure, you actually, or just be honest. Be like, you know what? Like, there's like, I think like 1 or 2 times where like maybe I like was on like certain like medication or something or whatever like, or maybe whatever. And I was like, yeah, I know I'm not going to come today. Don't even worry about it. But then just communicate that, right? But you don't need to lie. I'm like, yeah, I came. That's sad. Or like fake it. That's so sad. That's sad. And it's like, if you're not coming, and I think some women are insecure thinking that they're not going to be able to come. There's too much pressure for them to come, and also if the guy is making you feel stressed out, like pressuring you, that like, hold on, I gotta pause the chat. Hold on for 1 second. God damn it, my son missed the bus, so it means I gotta go pick him up. All right, hold on. Let's just finish one more thing. Hold on. Oh, yeah. By the way, women's sexual peak is in their 40s. And that's another thing that people don't understand. So Betsy B says, me either sex in my 40s is mind-blowing. My husband knows what he's doing. Totally different from sex in my 20s. Would never fake it now. No, women's sexual peak is in their 40s. And part of the reason for that is like, for most women, that is like their last fertile window before they really go into full-blown menopause. So it's like your body's like, all right, we're about to close. You know what I mean? Your fertility is like, listen, last call. If you want one more fucking kid, you better get it in now because we're about to close up shop. So, let's get this show on the road. And it's like, that's why I think that it's like, and it puts you into overdrive. Like, we can blast one more out. Got to do it now because, once it's closed, lady. So it's like, and then also it's like at a time where it's like, I think it's just a lot of things. It's like you know your body better, and like you by then hopefully you've had chance to like have developed like a loving, committed relationship with somebody who you have now years of experience with, who really knows your body. That's the beauty of investing in a relationship, in a long-term relationship with somebody who actually cares about you, rather than just like having all of these like junky little short-term casual sexual flings with people. It's so depressing after a while. It's so nice to like be with somebody who really knows your body and like cares about you and is comfortable with you and knows how to make you feel good without even thinking about it. It's just like second nature to them. You know what I mean? It's like and it takes time to get there, you know. It take every woman is different, and it's like that's what a man, it should be his highest goal to know your body well enough to know how to like bring you bring you to climax, right? And it's like it takes time, it takes talking to you, and I think so much bonding happens during that process. You learn how to communicate verbally, physically, you know. He starts to understand what your like temperament is, you know, what sort of things you respond to, where on your body you're most sensitive. And it's like, and that's such like a bonding time, and I feel like you get closer and better as a couple if you know how to like I feel like there's such an incongruence if one of you is not getting pleasure, and if you don't know how to communicate that to him, and if he's not showing an interest or willingness or desire to know that. And also, it's got to go both ways. A lot of men are bullshit, okay? And they get full, you know, put on blast. And there's a lot of men who are very, very sexually selfish. Don't give them sex. That's the answer to that. Don't give them sex. And not only that, do what they do to you. If a man routinely is like having sex with you and then stopping last minute, oh, hold on for 1 second. Hold on. Yes. All right, cool. I don't have to pick up my son. All right. Do what they do. I started doing that, right? I literally started, I think I did that. God, I hope he never finds it. I did that to my boyfriend now, early on. And he is literally now like the most selfless. I just don't think he ever had a woman before who like, I think he had women who just faked orgasms and never communicated with him. And he even said that he was like, sex is so much better now. I never realized how much I would enjoy having like a like a relationship where it's like how much I would enjoy like focusing on someone else's pleasure. Cause he's like, honestly, when I was younger, I was really selfish. I thought it was all just about like me getting off, and I never had a woman who like, I checked the shit out of him. I remember one of the first times that he came before me. I did. I checked it. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And he was like, what? Like, how was that? I was like, how was that? I was like, does it look like I came? He's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, well, what's wrong? I was like, how old are you? I was like, my bad, because like, you know, I'm not in high school, and like that shit's not cute. Bro, I remember checking the shit out of him and just like embarrassing him for like 20 minutes straight. And then I was like, no, I kicked him out. I was like, bro, you gotta go. Like, I got a vibrator and like, I'm cool. Like, you gotta go. It's like, it's just mad disrespectful. Like, really, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? I was like, you didn't even ask me. Like, you know, and I'm sitting here, I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, thinking that like maybe you didn't, you know what I mean? But like, and I was like, you know, at this point, like what am I, a fleshlight? Like, it's not like that's just super disrespectful. Whatever. And then there was like, he like, and then if he's ever done that to me, like before, I think like once or twice he like did it again. And I just do the same shit back. Right? I'll like wait until like last minute when he's about to come, like, all right, you know, I gotta go pee. And then just take off and then go like play on my phone downstairs, you know? Be like, you wanna play me? Like this can be a two-way street. So do the same shit back and don't give these guys sex. Just please do not. Do not. And it's just, but now, no, my God, he's like fucking amazing. There's a reason why we're together. You know what I mean? Like he's like, he like loves it. He was like, I never knew how much I like enjoyed, you know, giving giving other people pleasure. And I think it's like, again, because he just grew up in an environment where it was like men are always just catered to. And that's the most important thing. And then women also just assume that it's just men are just to be catered to. And that's it. And they don't even know how to prioritize their own pleasure because they've never been talked to about it. It's just never occurred to them that it's a thing. And it's like, he's like, yeah, like change my life, honestly. Like us getting close sexually and all this other stuff, like totally like changed my like relationship to stuff. And it changed the way, like changed our relationship with each other, changed our closeness, so many other things. Sex matters. Sex really matters, you know, and it really matters like when you love somebody, when you're close to them, it's how you communicate, it's how you connect, it's spiritual. And it's like, you know, if someone is not, it's depressing. After a while, it'll really start to chip at you emotionally. I think it'll make you depressed. If it's a one-way thing and you're not getting off. I don't know how women, I've done it before. I've been in like relationships where I wasn't routinely getting off. And it's sad. I'm also like a serial monogamist. I've only been in like a few relationships in my life and they were all like very long. So it's like there's only so long that lasted. And all of the men that I've been with have eventually been very giving. And I think I was lucky because even from my very first boyfriend, he was a little bit older than me, but he was really attentive to me, like emotionally, physically, you know what I mean? So the men that I've been with have actually like typically treated me very well. And I haven't had a bunch of a million different casual relationships. I've had like a few very serious ones. But I've had like maybe periods when I've like, you know, been establishing the relationship when, you know, whatever, I maybe wasn't getting my needs met. And it's depressing. And I think if you just sit and tolerate it, it's going to chip away at you.
Inside of someone, and yeah, I'm very happy.
Yeah, glass cats. Like you deserve to have pleasure, and it's not just you. So many women don't realize that they're just settling, and it's sad. And also, men also need to realize, hello, the benefit of sexually pleasing your woman is like fucking mine. Like you don't even know how much that's going to pay off in your life. I promise you, if your woman is like routinely sexually satisfied, watch your life change. Watch your life change. Watch your lives change. It gets so much better. You know what I mean? It's like half the time that I get mean, and like for me, and I've realized about this myself before I like had the maturity and the ability to like really communicate and establish all of that stuff. And it's not forever. You don't need to keep training them forever. Once they know your body well enough and how to make you come, then it just becomes second nature and you don't have to keep teaching them. Then they just know and you just do what you do and it's wonderful. And it's like the antidote to like stress, you know? But it's like I remember before I was at that point where I could really communicate well enough where it was like a hit or a miss. I've always been able to come pretty easily. But so it was either like, oh, if I could come, like great. But then sometimes they would come before me and I was like too shy to speak up and and I would like get my feelings hurt. But then you start getting mean. And then because I would be sexually frustrated. And I would just be in a bad fucking mood, of course, you know? And then I'm like sitting there, I'm like, fuck this guy. You're a pussy, bro. Like, fuck you. And then it's like, he asked me for something. I'm like, I'm not getting you. So like, fuck out of here. You go get it. Oh, like, what's the matter, babe? Like, you want to go to, bro, get out of my face. Like, I'm working on something. Like, can I help you? Like, nah, bro. Like, close the door. Fuck out of here. You know what I mean? It's just like little things. It's just because, like, and you realize you're just like fucking grumpy, you know? And also, and if he's going to pull that sort of shit too, or whatever, or say he doesn't like want to have sex or whatever, and you're just like horny, also just like, you know, don't be afraid to masturbate, all that kind of stuff. Prioritize your pleasure. Your life will change. I promise you. I really promise you.
Have any regrets with everything that has happened?
Carol Johns' lack of romantic care creates lacking sexual relationships and is like the dumping toxic waste in the relationship. It all has to work together, right? It's so sad when like it all has to work together. And I think that's why I think sex without romance and love is so draining and depleting. Whereas sex with the component of love and care, with somebody who really cares about you, somebody who's going to like show up for you in life, somebody who's going to watch you have like a breakdown and is going to listen to you, and who knows, you know, some of your darker stuff, and who knows the weird dynamics with you and your family, and has seen you have these blow up fights with your sister or your brother or your mom, and has been there while you cry and vent about it, or whatever the case may be, right? Or has seen you, you know, have a meltdown about work and has sit there and like held you and watched you be gross before, and then to have like sex with them and like have this like close connect. But that's so irreplaceable. And it makes you never, ever, ever want to give your body to somebody who doesn't love you again, right? It becomes like, I remember even like, you know, and I've had casual sex before, don't get me wrong, right? And it's like, especially if I've like, you know, had casual sex after like, whatever, after being in a good relationship, you realize I'm like, this is depressing. I've never like woken up the next day or been like, yeah, I'm so glad I had that one night stand. That was so worth it. Not saying that like, you know, sometimes it can just be like whatever, but it's like, then I was just like, this isn't for me. This isn't for me, you know? I don't want to be next to somebody who like doesn't know where my dad grew up and like what, you know about what it like my elementary school life was like, or who doesn't know like what scares me in the world, or who doesn't want to, you know, who doesn't know about the trauma that I had when I was 13. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want to be in such an intimate space with a stranger. You know, to me, that's really sad. And that to me, that's really spiritually draining. Whereas the flip side of that is it's really spiritually healing, and it really like is spiritually like to have a healthy sexual relationship with someone who really loves you and who you really love and who you feel safe with, and like who you feel like if bad shit were to go down, you know they have your back, is such like you know, it makes you feel so like safe and connected in the world. It's not a bad thing, you know. We don't all need to be so independent all the time. It's okay to have like a healthy like codependence with somebody, like an integration, you know. It's not like, oh, I can't function without you. I'm like, you know, we're so toxic and fucked up together and we can't function without each other. But it's like we're allowing ourselves to integrate because we trust each other, and we're healthy alone, but we're better to like we're happier together, right? We're capable of being alone, and we're happy alone, but we're happier together. Like that, it's a good thing, you know. It's a good thing. It's not bad.
Just everything that you know I've had to go through. I've had 5 surgeries total, you know, including top surgery and stuff like that. But I'm officially done, so that's really nice.
Exactly. It's like I understand. I guess the whole like sexual liberation thing was it was supposed to be a way to address the fact that women's sexual needs weren't being met, but it like went so far in the wrong direction. It just turned into like women basically just becoming like public property to any man. And that doesn't help women. That's so dangerous to women. Do you know that women, every sexual partner that we have, every time we have intercourse, our brains release oxytocin, and that same is not true for men. Men's brains release dopamine, so oxytocin is a bonding hormone. So we start bonding with a partner the first time we have sex with them. Men's brains don't start releasing oxytocin until about 3 months into a sexual relationship with a woman. So it's about 3 months into being close with a woman. That's why really 3 months should be the minimum before you even start sleeping with somebody, right? And it's like, so it takes time for them to build that connection. Women start doing it immediately. That's why it hurts us to just have casual sex. It doesn't hurt them the way that it hurts us, right? When men have sex, their brains release dopamine. Dopamine is like Pavlov's dog, right? It's what is being released in the dogs when they would hear the bell and eat the food. So it trains them to want to keep doing it. It trains them to, oh, this was good. It feels good. I'm going to do it again. But they don't release oxytocin the way that we do. And the reason for that, obviously, is because every sexual encounter for a woman, Again, our bodies don't know that we're on birth control. So for every sexual encounter for a woman could result in conception. So we need to start immediately bonding with that person, even after the first time, that keeps us wanting to keep in contact with them, wanting to stay close to them in case a conception happened. Then it's not like, oh, 3 days, 3 weeks down the line, oh wait, where is that guy? I lost track of him because I wasn't worried about him. There's a reason for that. We've got to work within the realities of our sex, work within the realities of our biology. That's the reality. Casual sex hurts women. It's not good for us. And we got to stop pretending like it's this like modern liberating thing. It's not. But good, healthy sex, pleasurable sex is good for us, right? We should be having a lot of sex. It's about who we're having sex with and under what conditions, right? Having a lot of sex is good. Having a lot of sex with people who don't care about you is not.
My arm, this is how it looks now. About, I want to say like a year into, a little over a year,
Caleb, you sent
actually.
me some of. I'll look at it. I'm sorry. I'm so bad. My inboxes are all so stacked. But thank you for letting me know, Caleb. Caleb says you asked for an example of fallow being used a while back. You asked for video evidence, and I sent it to you. Okay, I'll look at it.
But after having phalloplasty, but I'm very happy. I would say, as far as like the arm goes, I get a lot of people that ask me, oh, what's wrong with your arm? So that's something, that you are going to have to, I guess, get used to, because it does happen a lot, I do get asked a lot. But it's up to you if you want to be honest about, what your scar is or not.
Is she
For
talking
me,
about
it
going
just depends,
stealth?
if it's someone that I really am comfortable with, then I will tell them. If I'm not, then I won't.
Wait, he's pretending, or sorry, she's pretending like she can go stealth. Are you talking about what not to tell? Come on.
As far as sensation goes, I have more sensation than I used to. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's been like a year and like.
Taurus girl says Britt's taking one for the team. You damn right. You guys better appreciate me. You better like the damn stream. Everyone like the stream. I'm gonna watch this thing. Gouge my eye. But I had to watch some of Buck Angel's porn for research, and man, I cannot scrub that from my brain.
3 months since I got phalloplasty done, and I am able to feel a lot more. Most of the erotic sensation comes from the bottom of my phallus, not really the tip, but I can still feel. I can still feel on the whole phallus now. Just not as much of an erotic sensation. Just more of just like touch.
See, that's honest. So she said, I can feel the whole. So they all say that I can feel it. I can feel everything. And she's the first one who's honest. She said, I can feel it, but not in an erotic way. I can just literally feel that something is touching me. So, and then she said that, I can feel some of the erotic sensation towards the base of the phallus, but not at the tip, which is the opposite of a real penis, where the nerve endings, the pleasure nerve endings, are concentrated at the tip of the penis, the head of the penis, and obviously not at the shaft, right? So again, the reason why she can feel more at the base of the penis is because she has the clitoris. Her clitoris is buried under this arm skin tube that they sewed on top of. How that must be so sexually frustrating, not be able to access your clitoris. And you can't directly feel it. I would end up like digging a hole through it and be like, ugh, like, man. And it's like, why? What is the point? No one is benefiting from this. No woman is getting more pleasure from this than just if you had a regular strap on, right? If you had a regular strap on or a regular, what those other dildos where like you both are on it together. Like, the other things that like lesbians use. Like, it's just sad. And no heterosexual woman wants this. No heterosexual woman who actually likes penis, likes to have sex with men, is gonna, no offense, and I'm with all due respect, is gonna prefer this over a real penis, unless they're just trying to virtue signal and just trying to, date you, like, because they want to be open-minded and see what it's like to be with somebody like that, but long term, no. No, I'm sorry, sweetheart. And it's just sad. And I think that she kind of realizes it. And again, so it's like, so basically it's an arm skin tube that no one derives any pleasure from. And she can feel, if she puts a lot of pressure and friction towards the base, then she can feel some in the buried clitoris, but it's not as much. And she said, I can feel my arm skin tube, but not in an erotic way. Of course. Because it's just arm skin. It's not, they didn't extend the clitoris. It's just arm skin.
Like that type of, but I was told that a lot of patients have told the doctors that over time they start to feel more and more of that like erotic sensation, which I still don't 100% have on the full phallus, but I do have.
Carol says she doesn't seem very happy and she isn't looking at the camera at all. None of them can look at the camera when they start talking about this, and especially when they lie about being pleased with it. And it's so telling. It's so telling. They all just exhibit very similar body language patterns.
Sensation, and I can, like I said, I can finish. But yeah, that's, I don't know, I feel like I didn't find a lot of videos that talked about semi-rigid rod, you know, so that's mainly why I wanted to do this or this video, just to talk about it, because I didn't even know where to begin, you know, and I decided to go with it because there's less risks and of like malfunction of you know, of the inflatable. The chances are a lot higher with the inflatable one. About 50% of the patients is what I was told that end up having some sort of complication or another within the first couple of years.
75%. It's 75%.
I'm just tired of surgeries. I didn't want to have to deal with any more surgeries. But anyways, yeah, so I'm officially done.
So Betsy, they do eventually get oxytocin, just not at first. Trust me, when men start dumping oxytocin, let's not pretend like women are the more emotional ones. Any woman who's really dealt with men, I can tell you, when they fall in love, and I used to really be like somebody who really in my heart of hearts believed that men were not capable of love the way that women were. I really, to my heart, believed that all through college and stuff like that. I just didn't think, I thought that women were more emotionally robust. Women fell in love. Men, you know, just acquiesced to relationships and love, you know, because of the benefits and whatever. Maybe they have a fondness, but trust me, one thing I have learned is that when men fall in love for real, they fall in love very, very hard. They fall in love very hard. Men are very emotional. Very, very emotional, and they like to pretend that they're not. And it's like, if anything, it's like the fact that men are so emotional that they like shut down because they can't. The fact that women can express their emotions and sit in the middle of their emotions and feel their emotions and talk about their emotions and go and intentionally go visit their emotions and like, you know, share and like gather with friends to discuss their emotions, just shows that like we don't get overwhelmed by emotions the way that men do. The fact that men shut down so quickly from emotion and struggle, it just shows how much emotions like kick their ass. All right, I gotta go. I love you guys. My kids are here. I'll see you later. We'll do